Hi, everyone, and welcome back to At the Table, the only show that asks you to take out your TTRPG books, pull up a chair, and join us at the table. And we have so much to cover today, and my voice is still not recovered from this week, so I apologize if I sound like. We're going to do a quick introduction. We have so much stuff to get on to, so let's start off with Mr. Michael Powell. Tell them who you are and where they can find you on that sweet, sweet internet.
All right. Well, before I do, I'm going to jump in chat and say thank you to Van Axel for subscribing. Thank you.
Van, so good to see you again, buddy.
And, well, I am the dastardly, dashing Michael Powell, and you can find me all over the internet on my social medias, which is at Mr. Kapow. That's MrKapao. And how about you?
Well, my name is PJ McGaw. You can find me all over the internet at pj.mcgaw, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Come find me, come friend me, and let's have fun. Now, we all heard, I think about a week ago, in fact, if you remember an earlier episode, we speculated as to what the new playtest classes that were going to be announced at Gen Con were going to be. We finally found out what they were going to be, and we're going to talk about that. But more importantly, we're going to talk about Gen Con first. Mr. Michael Powell was there and got some really dope notes. And I mean, it would be remiss if we didn't. I would be remiss if we did not talk about it. So when you're ready, Michael Powell, please drop the fat notes on us.
All right. Well, there was some really, really cool announcements Paizo made during Gen Con this year. We're just going to run through the bullet points real quick here. Well, as you know, the next new core book is going to be titled Dark Archives, and it's going to introduce the Psychic and Thaumaturge classes. Wow, I actually pronounced Thaumaturge right. First time. There's also going to be a new undead-themed adventure path called Bloodlords. That sounds super metal, doesn't it, PJ?
Sounds so goddamn metal. I love it.
And we might have to team up with another group, or just do this ourselves, because I know this is something we've talked about, you and me, PJ. Kingmaker Second Edition.
Yes, I'm so hype.
Yeah. The release has been planned, and it's going to be released on April of next year. So, yeah, we might have to go to the World Galerion, maybe another show, or take a little hiatus from Edge of Legend, or something, because I think that would be really cool.
Hey, if someone wants to run Kingmaker, PF2e, and they let yours truly play, I would be very stoked to play a champion in Kingmaker 2e.
Yeah, and I would love to play either the Thaumaturge or the Psychic. But also, there's going to be a really cool release from Beetle and Grimm's. They're going to do a special edition of Absalom, City of Lost Omens. And if you know their releases, usually the super expensive big box stuff that, I don't think I'll ever be able to afford, they're usually crammed full of really, really awesome stuff. And hey, if anybody from Beetles and Grimm's is watching, hook up your boy here and PJ up with a little unboxing.
Yeah, we've already did the Starfinder unboxing. I'm so down to do another physical unboxing to show these people the cool things that you guys make.
And also, there's going to be an Abomination Vaults hardcover omnibus. So that's all the Adventure Path collected in the Abomination Vaults Adventure Path in hardcover form. And that's going to be released in April as well of next year. So, super hyped about that. Heard a lot of good things about it. Especially if you want to do that classic dungeon dive.
Yeah, and dungeon dives can be so good depending on like how you built it and how you're running it and what your investment is. So like if you get a really good run and you're leveling, you're getting like cool loot, like, oh yeah.
And also, Paizo has announced the Pathfinder and Starfinder Infinite program. It's a community content program that allows, the community to publish their own Pathfinder / Starfinder creations on on services such as Drive-Thru RPG, which they made a deal with.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah,
Because I know, yeah, because we already talked about like you can go to Drive-Thru RPG and buy and post your own stuff. So I'm wondering, I'd love to hear more about this. I'm curious, because one day I would love to maybe even post the AstraGenicon or maybe even the Edge of Legends entire adventure path. Well, it's another day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So if you're a game designer or a super fan that really likes to get into nitty gritty rules, crunchy bit stuff, and want to release your homebrew stuff, check out the Pathfinder and Starfinder Infinite program. And then finally, our last piece of Gen Con announcements here is the Grand Bazaar will have a new ancestry and also the Spell Trickster archetype, which apparently, according to the panel, is all about adding modifications to your spells. So spellcasters, this is something you might want to check out.
See, I love that because currently right now, the rogue has the spell trickster archetype or racket, and that there is another smaller archetype that I think allows something similar to non-magical casters. So I'm really curious to see how this new archetype is going to allow you to really customize and really personalize the way you flavor your magic. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be something like a flexible spellcaster. It's one of those special add-on spell things for spellcasters to take on early levels to kind of just modify how they cast their spells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of really awesome stuff. And I know that I want to say about Kingmaker 2e since PaizoCon Online America in June. So it seems like we're getting a follow-up on that. It is happening in April. So excited. And just all these amazing products coming from Paizo.
Oh, yeah. So,
well, hell yeah.
Wait, I need to do this. This has been Michael Powell, and that has been the Gen Con Report. Back to you at the studio, PJ.
Thank you. And for those of you wondering at home, I'm still in my pajamas from the waist down. True story, sadly. That being said, let's go to what we all came in for, the meat and potatoes beyond these amazing announcements, this amazing class, the Psychic. Now, the playtest, I think, dropped sometime around Monday or the weekend. And there's been like a cursory glance generally, but nothing too in depth. It's not on Archives of Net yet because, of course, it's not official material. But we're going to go over this with you. If you need a link, it should be on all of the Twitter announcements. And Mr. Michael Powell, do you want to read the flavor or should I?
Well, before we jump into that, I'm just going to give some information about the playtest in general, if you don't mind.
Oh, of course.
This playtest for the let's see. The Psychic and Thaumaturge playtest will run until October 29th of this year. So you got until then to kind of send Paizo all your feedbacks, comments, criticism regarding these upcoming classes. And as we've seen in I want to say Secrets of Magic, especially with the summer class, they do listen to the stuff that's been submitted, and things do change along the way. Like the summoner class, it got changed, I want to say, quite a bit.
Yeah, they fixed some aspects of also the shared HP pool. But that's because Pathfinder 1 Summoner was busted and that it wasn't a shared HP pool, and it made them ridiculously hard to like affect. But on other things too, like the Magus, the Spell Strike, was such a hard thing to excuse economically speaking with your actions, right? They listened, and in the Secret of Magic book, I can confirm when we do cover it, they listened. So when information, there's a Survey Monkey thing in the playtest on the forums. You put it out there, they will do the hard work.
Yeah. And really quickly jumping into chat, let's see. Well, we have Van Axel there. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Van Axel. Hello, Reap Psyche, and hello, Eric Jackson, and also a very, very special hello to Pengu Chan, who is supporting us here, but really watching the FBI files on Amazon at the moment. So, You know what? Watch the playback for all the information. Also, Van Axel posted, "That's great. I know a lot of people, players are weary of third party, but I feel that third party has helped 5e flourish. Most definitely. Most definitely."
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is always the fear of buying into material that is unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing about Pathfinder 2e, and to a lesser extent the other game, is that because some of the math has been kind of regulated to a certain degree, if you just follow the formula for how a class should, you're going to be pretty safe.
Yeah.
It really comes down into the magical items that can get a little stupid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also, Van Axel also posted, "Oh, so do you guys think Mesmerist is going to be a subtype of Psychic? I haven't read the subclass yet." Well, I don't know about PJ, but I haven't really done a deep dive into either of the upcoming playtest classes because I want to be a little, fresh for it. So we'll find out together. Find out together.
And my hope is that if they do want to tread on the ground, they do it as an archetype, the entirety of a class. So let's, without further ado, why don't we crack this open and look at the Psychic playtest.
All right. I guess I'll read the flavor up top here.
Please do. My voice is so weak.
Psychic. The mind can perceive truth hidden in the sharpest instruments, hide more secrets than any tome, and move objects and hearts more deftly than any lever. By delving into both conscious and subconscious aspects of your inner self, you've awoken the might of psychic magic, allowing you to cast spells not through incantations or a spellbook, but by the power of your will alone. While the thin line between your mind and realities means that a single errant thought could have unintended consequences for yourself and your companions, you know that anything is possible as long as you can imagine it.
That was a superb read, Michael. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I've been practicing. But I will.
Shows.
I will say that this actually it sounds really interesting because just reading the flavor alone, I'm getting the vibe that they're not creating like a special a special psychic system separately from all the caster classes. This is still going to be magic. It's just going to be the magic of the mind.
Yeah, and speaking of that, the mechanics, it's really fascinating how they've tried to stat magic of the mind. And if you've played previous attempts at psychic classes in the other system, you know that it is very hit or miss. 5e kind of made it work only because they absolutely neutered it. They neutered it into being a kind of an off flavor of a main class.
Yeah.
And then when they tried to make it its own class, they made up the Mystic, and that was a piece of broken trash. Anyway, moving right along. So the key ability to this is intelligence or charisma. So you have the chance of being one of 3 intelligent casters or one of many charisma-based casters. And you get a boost relevant to that. Your hit points are 6 plus your con mod, so you are very squishy, which kind of gives me the vibe that you have the potential to be a very powerful glass cannon. Now, normally I don't read the during combat encounters and all that kind of stuff, but what I find interesting, I just kind of like looked at it and saw it, is that not only is this like a very powerful caster, but this person also has powerful social encounter abilities. Don't know what they are yet, but that's what it's hinting at. And I'm really curious to see how that plays out. Now, this is a uncommon class, so ask your GM if they don't mind having a psychic show up at the table, because it may kind of make the game a little harder for everyone. You are trained in perception, you are trained in fortitude, you're trained in reflex, and you're an expert in will. I'm a little bummed out by that because, quite frankly, I would hope for at least one more expert proficiency. Since most classes usually get about 2 experts and 2 trained. You start off trained in occultism, and you start off trained in a number of additional skills equal to 3 plus your int mod. So if you're based caster, you have a chance to very skill based. You are trained in simple attacks and simple weapons and unarmed you probably won't be having much of a melee game. Your defenses, you are untrained in all armor, and you're trained in that naked, and you have a trained in the occult school of magic, both the attack rolls and the DC, which makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on to the class features.
All right. Do you want me to go through up to the psychic spellcasting, or do you want to take that on?
Actually, why don't you read the psychic spellcasting? Because, like, if I remember, I looked over this very briefly to see how psychic spellcasting was different. They did a really weird thing here, an excitingly weird thing.
Yeah.
And I think we should cover that.
All right. Well, since I know your voice is a little froggy from this past weekend, I'll take on the big paragraphs.
Thank you.
Well, besides the psychic spellcasting beforehand, class features, ancestry and background, the usual initial proficiencies, what PJ just basically read, and then we have your psychic spellcasting. You access the infinite well of power that resides within your mind, calling forth psychic magic with nothing but thought and will. You can cast occult spells using the cast a spell activity. You alter some of the standard spells components when casting spells from your psychic spellcasting. Instead of speaking, you substitute any verbal components with a special mental component determined by your subconscious mind class feature. This is going to be really important to your class later on, I bet. This represents how you exert your mind towards your intended effect. Any of these components impart the concentrate trait to the spell you're casting. You also substitute any material components with somatic components, though these tend to be simple movements of the hand or head compared to those used by other spellcasters. So, yeah, Professor X. X-Men, to me! Your spells still have clear and noticeable visual and auditory manifestations as normal for a spellcaster. Each day, you can cast one first-level spell. You must know spells to cast them, and you learn them via the spell repertoire class feature. So a lot like your spontaneous spellcasters, basically. The number of spells you could cast each day.
I'm so sorry. My internet absolutely sucks today, so I'm just coming and going.
No worries. Anyway, continue on. The number of spells you could cast each day is called your spells slots. As you increase in level as a psychic, your number of spells per day increases, as does the highest level of spells you can cast, as shown on the psychic spells per day table. Some of your spells require you to attempt a spell attack roll to see how effective they are, or have your enemies roll against your spell DC, typically by attempting a saving throw. Since your key ability is determined by your subconscious mind and your spell attack rolls and spell DCs, use the modifier for the ability stated in your subconscious mind. Ooh, that's a lot.
It is a lot, but I think what's really cool to kind of note is that much like how sorcerers kind of skip around material components, psychic casters get to go around verbal and material components, and even somatic components gets to change to the point where it's just a head nod or something. I really like how they've opened up how cool psychic casting is mechanically different. Making sure I'm not frozen. Okay, cool. So that everything else is pretty standard, though. You get your cantrips and heightened spells, the spell repertoire, so you're more of a spontaneous caster, I believe. Swapping spells are out. Now, here's the thing that's going to be really important. Your psi cantrips and your amps, like a big amp.
Yeah.
So it says the unique magic of your mind manifests as psi cantrips, which are basically focus cantrips. Like other cantrips, you can cast psi cantrips as often as you'd like, and they're automatically heightened to half your level, rounded up. Your psi cantrips are in addition to the cantrips you choose from the occult list as part of your psychic spellcasting. Generally, only feats can give you more psi cantrips. Unlike other cantrips, you can't swap out psi cantrips gained from psychic feats at a later level unless you swap out the specific feat via retraining. So instead of like a focus spell where you have to refocus, these are focus cantrips that function exactly like cantrips. At first level, you learn 3 psi cantrips determined by your choice of conscious mind. 2 of these are common occult cantrips, which you can cast as psi cantrips. They work on the same as the normal cantrips most of the time, but casting them as psi cantrips means you can amp them to boost or modify them. The amp effects of these cantrips appear in your conscious mind, as does your 3rd cantrip, a unique psi cantrip with its own amp. Amps are specific thought forms that alter the nature of psi cantrips. When you cast they're just putting that word out way too much. When you cast these things, you can amp it by spending 1 focus point to add the effect. So this is really cool. What they're basically giving you is a cantrip, a special power that you get for free, and it's a cantrip. Okay, cool, whatever. But you get to spend your focus point, instead of on casting a focus spell, on enhancing your cantrips. So this kind of gives the feeling that this is going to be a very cantrip-empowered class, kind of like how the Magus has really good spells, but they're really there for the cantrips.
It kind of reminds me of... I just had that thought, and then it just left me. It went tweet, 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 tweet. But yeah, continue on, PJ.
It's quite all right. I just want to give a quick shout out to Tabletop Rolls for being in the chat. Hello, Tabletop Rolls. So good to see you. So you get that really cool system of amping. Now, the basic spell table, I'll give you a description of it. You know, normally you get cantrips in 1 to 10 levels, right?
Yeah.
And usually you get like 5 cantrips and like 4 spells, and it kind of trickles down. This is going to be extremely limited spell casting. You're going to get 3 cantrips only, and you're going to get a maximum of 2 spells in every slot except 10th level spells. You can probably get a level 20 feet. That makes you have another spell slot for level 10. But this kind of feels like, because your psychic powers can be amped often, you're probably going to be relying on those more than your occult spells.
Well, now I remember what I was going to say earlier. Remember how earlier I made that Professor X-Men joke?
Oh, yeah?
This kind of reminds me... I'm getting kind of a spellcaster mutant vibe from this, especially with the fact that... best way to explain it is Iceman from the X-Men, whose power is to make ice. You know what? Think ice balls and stuff like that, but they could also use their ice powers in really creative ways, like creating the ice slide bridge transportation, or using their ice powers to basically modify their already pre-existing ability. So this I'm getting that vibe here.
And I think you're right. I feel like, because if you think about it, what is a psychic if a simple concept that has been creatively flexed to its maximum potential in any direction, right?
Yeah.
And they're kind of reflecting this flexing. And what's interesting to put here, built into the character. Now, this may happen in other characters, but it's great that this is like written out. If you've only used your focus points to amp your cantrips, when you refocus, those focus points come back all at once, kind of like how they would on certain feats for focus spells. Very, very cool. That's built into the system that way.
I mean, honestly, if you want to think of it this way, you're slamming a new magazine of ammo into your psychic shotgun, or a rifle. I mean, I was like, different gun.
Shoving a banana clip in their head.
Oh, dude! Visually, that would be awesome. Like, all right, click. All right, what's next? Huh?
Mind bullets. Chick.
I mean, Quentin Quire from the X-Men. Just saying.
He would totally do that just for the aesthetic. Why don't you get us started? Now, the subconscious mind coming up is basically like the rogue's racket or whatever. This is going to define what kind of psychic you are. Why don't you start with the emotional acceptance?
All right.
Subconscious mind.
Before I do jump into that, I just want to just also say that I think this is kind of cool that psychics start with a focus pool of 2 focus points, without having to pick up any focus feats to get these points. So I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah. You're right. I totally skipped that. You start off with 2 focus points instead of 1 at level 1.
Yeah.
That's powerful as hell.
And without having to use one of your feats to pick up any kind of focus spell or ability. I'll point that out.
Yep. Yep.
All right. So, emotional acceptance. The mind's truth comes not in learned words or mathematical formulas, but deeper feelings and sensations. Emotions unlock the door to your power. You might consider your heart as the source of your strength, or you might find that the infinite complexity felt in the moment expresses your power more efficiently than any string of mystic words ever could. Your key ability, if you decide to go the emotional acceptance route, is charisma. And the emotional components here is when you cast a spell, you gain from the psychic class, you replace any material components with somatic components and replace any verbal components with emotion components as you call up and hold a specific feeling. I'm getting very cathartic mage vibes there.
Absolutely. It's definitely touching on that territory.
Yeah, and if you want to check that out, that video, I believe, is still up on our VOD. If not, they will be up later this week on our YouTube channel. So yeah. An emotion component adds the concentrate trait to your action to cast a spell. You might summon the sense of freedom to buoy you through the air, or let fear grip your heart, even as you plant it in another's mind. Emotion components tend to impart abstract or vivid effects to your visual and auditory spell manifestations, as well as more intangible flashes of emotions, such as swirls of joyous color or a sense of glowing melancholy. If you're affected by a harmful emotion effect, the discordant emotions sap some of your concentration, causing your cantrips, including psi cantrips, to heighten to a level 1 lower than normal, or to their minimum level if it's higher. For instance, if you were 5th level, a detect magic cantrip you cast would be 2nd level instead of 3rd level.
Okay, so this is like if you're gripping with a harmful emotion, you're going to probably get the benefit from it, but your spell is going to be 1 level less as effective.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that plays out.
It's very roleplay.
Yeah. Before I go into the precise discipline, I want to say that, like, I saw Eric Jackson's comment. You make a very good point. They said, I've never liked psychic powers in my fantasy games. They always feel a bit too sci-fi to me. And I feel like I think I know where you're coming from, because in sci-fi, we tend, especially sci-fi fantasy, we tend to see psychics and telepaths used. But I think the key difference here is that the telekinetics and telepathics in sci-fi tend to be cold, removed, and scientific. I think what maybe could make this work, and this is maybe, different strokes, different folks, is that this is definitely dark. This is methodical. This is borderline mystical, as opposed to cold and scientific.
Yeah, I kind of want to say, the divination subclass of wizard could essentially be considered kind of psychic-y. I feel that they're using, this is not, while this is a psychic ability, it is the psychic magic ability of the mind. You're basically concentrating all your magic into, like, your mind powers to amp up your brain functions, kind of like a non-magical version of the investigator's mind palace, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think this next one might hit that home at least a little bit. It's called Precise Discipline. I also like how it's written. Very short, simple sentences. I love this choice.
Oh, PJ, really quick.
Yeah.
I just want to jump in the chat. Lost Thought actually made a really good point. Aberrations is just a fancy word for mutants. It is.
To a degree. I think the key difference is that aberrations is a fancy word for we stole this from Lovecraft. If we're being honest, aberrant is a fancy word for this is Cthulhu mythos. But I digress. Precise discipline. Determine intended outcomes. Align thoughts. Identify and resolve distractions. Manifest. Intentional focus is the key to unleashing your abilities, whether because your power naturally tends to precise, discrete effects, scrolling back up, or because you've adopted strict discipline to ensure that your mind can change the world only when you intend it to. Now, this is an int-based class, so if you're going to be choosing the precision discipline, instead of charisma, like the emotional, you're choosing intelligence. Calculated components. When you cast a spell that you gain from the psychic class, you replace any material components with somatic components and any verbal components with calculation components, as you determine the exact forces needed to realize your psychic magic in the world. A calculation component adds the concentration trait to your cast a spell. Perhaps you mentally weigh the mass of an object against the force of gravity to levitate it, or you might determine exactly how much energy is needed for an object to spontaneously combust. I love this description. Calculation components tend to impart ordered visual and auditory effects to your spell manifestation, such as regular tessellations of light, mathematical spirals, or harmonic tones. Disruptions to your sequences make it more difficult for you to focus. You are flat-footed against attacks made as reactions as you cast your spell. If your spell is disrupted, you're stupefied 1 until the end of your turn. Yikes. Now, we should say this is the subconscious mind. Mm-hmm. There's also a conscious mind that works a little different, and we're going to get to that up next.
Yeah, really quick, I just want to say, so far, at least from the subconscious mind, the precise discipline is sounding very Rufa-esque.
I gotta be honest, like just the fluff alone, the mechanics, whatever. But I like the fluff of precise discipline. Yeah. That's just me.
All right. Jumping into the conscious mind. Do you want me to read the big block of words we have up there, or just jump into the distant grasp?
Let me take a quick look at that. The big blob of words for the conscious mind?
Yeah.
I think you just go to granted spells.
Distant grasp, you mean, right?
No, the thing that says granted spells.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Granted spells. You automatically add the spells listed here to your spell repertoire. In addition to those you gain through psychic spellcasting, at first level you gain a first level spell, and you learn the other spells on the list as soon as you gain the ability to cast psychic spells of that level. Learning the second level spell at third level, the third level spell at fifth level, and so on. Surface psi cantrips. These are psi cantrips you gain automatically at first level. The two standard cantrips come from the occult tradition, and the unique cantrip is exclusive to the conscious mind. You always cast these cantrips as psi cantrips, enabling you to amp them at the amp and the amped heighten if applicable. Entries to the standard cantrips. The amped heighten entry is in addition to any normal heighten entry for the cantrip. Deeper psi cantrip. You gain this cantrip later on in your career by taking the deeper psi breakthrough feat. So I'm guessing, okay, you get both the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. They're not they're not like the I thought originally they were two separate subcategory rackets.
Yeah, no, looking into the level 1 thing, you get both of them. And it makes sense because, and I kind of like this. This is giving me some massive Psychonaut vibes, and I'm so happy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So you're getting your subconscious mind, your conscious mind. And what's really fun here is that now, as a psychic casting mage, you have a lot of different possibilities for builds. Like, well, what's your subconscious mind like? Well, it's precise. What's your conscious mind like? It's chaotic.
Yeah, and also they also put it here that they're testing 3 conscious minds in this playtest, which are the distant grasp, the infinite eye, and the silent whisper, which means more than likely once Dark Archives does come out, there's going to be more conscious minds.
Yeah, I'm really excited too because this has a potential to also grow like you do when you add new rackets, like in the advanced players class. So the things that you can combine together and the mechanics of it are exciting too. Now, let's see. The distant grasp was one that you were mentioning. It looks like this is one of the 3 conscious minds that they're testing with materials. It says it right there. So the subconscious is either the disciplined or the emotional. The first conscious is the distant grasp. You believe the truest form of mind over matter is therefore to move things as well, wielding telekinesis as an arm that can grasp the further and finest objects. So distance grasp is definitely your mage hand build. The granted spells are magic missile, telekinetic maneuver, levitate, fly, telekinetic haul, wall of force, force cage, earthquake, and a 9th level implosion. Your Cantrip is a standard mage hand and telekinetic projectile. And telekinetic projectile is one of the best cantrips in the game at me. And the unique one is telekinetic rend. I don't even know what that is. And that sounds freaking awesome. The deeper Cantrip is arrest trajectory.
Ooh, that.
Let's see. I'm just curious. Ooh, I want to see what telekinetic projectile is like when it's amped. Mage hand. Your added focus increases your hand's telekinetic finesse. When you cast a spell, you can have the mage hand grasp an attended object. If it's attended by you or a willing ally and is an easy access location, such as a sheathed weapon or a potion or a belt, the hand grasps and holds the object before the hand moves the object. The item must still be within the bulk limit of mage hand. So I guess, so before you could only grab unattended objects. Now you can actually start contesting to pull an object away from someone. Telekinetic project. Oh, here we go. What? Oh my god. All right. So telekinetic projectile is a cantrip that usually does 1d6. It's one of the strongest base damage cantrips. If you are a distant grasp psychic mage, you can amp telekinetic projectile to do 1d8 damage plus spellcasting ability modifier. On a critical success, you push the target 5 feet away from you in addition to dealing double damage. And for every level it's heightened, the damage is increased by 1d8 instead of 1d6. And the distance you push the target is. So your mind is as powerful as a broadsword.
Dude, this is essentially mind bullets.
Yeah, yes. This is bananas. Like, what's the range in this cantrip? Like 60 feet, I want to say? 30 feet? Oh, my God.
Ooh.
I love it. At Paizo, don't change a thing. I love it.
Yeah, and the fact that, honestly, now I thought, dude, mind sniper. A mind sniper. If you amp it up.
Yeah.
Enough. Ooh.
Really fast, going to the chat, because I must confess I'm a little confused. Bobby Western, thank you for coming for the first time on this channel. They are saying that remember my request my father asked you to do on Facebook. I don't know if that's to me or Mr. Michael Powell. Is that you?
That, I believe that's on the Toyzilla show. This is a totally separate channel, separate show. Well, I am on both Toyzilla Live and at the table here. This is a completely different show with a different group and production company and everything. But I will say this, I don't know anything about the inflatable sword, really. You have to contact Toyzilla, and that's separately with David, my co-host there. So, yeah.
Hey, but either way, we support Toyzilla Live, and whatever that is, I'd love to see it too, Bobby Western. So let's see what's up when we get there, when that time comes. Oh man, okay. So out the gate, distant grasp, rocks so hard, all my socks. Let's see what telekinetic rend is. This is a cantrip. Remember, you can do this power all day, every day, and then you spend a focus point to make it busted. Let's see what it is. 2 actions, 30-foot range, 5-foot burst of that 30, basic fortitude save. Your mind creates a violent access of motion in a nearby space. You deal your choice of 1d6 bludgeoning or slashing damage to all creatures in that area. It's a cantrip AoE. Oh my God. For every 2 levels, this cantrip's heightened. It does an additional 1d6. When you amp it, your thoughts expand in scope and power. You add another 5-foot burst to the area. Though the 2 bursts cannot overlap, and as normal, a large creature in more than 1 burst takes damage only once. The burst deals 1d6 bludgeoning and slashing instead of the usual damage. And when it's heightened for every 2 levels, it also goes up by a d6. You have a Cantrip AoE that can then make 2 other AoEs. What? It's just so good. Like, great, the damage is kind of low rent, but consider the fact that at level 20, you're doing two 10d6 AoEs at will with an amp.
Yeah. Like I said, you are dude. You're essentially Jean Grey here. You're Jean Grey. You're Jean Grey with the Phoenix Force.
Yeah,
I think that's safe to say, right, PJ?
oh my god, maybe I don't know. All I know is I love this. This is ridiculous. Arrested Trajectory. This is your level 4 cantrip that you get. It's a reaction verbal trigger. You or the ally are the target of a physical ranged strike within 30 feet. Targets the triggering creature. You arrest approaching projectiles in mid-air. The target gets a +1 circumstance bonus to the AC against a triggering attack. If the attack misses, the projectile clatters the ground harmlessly. At 7th level, it's automatically heightened to a +2 AC. Amp. You not only block the missile, but send it back to its source. Unlike many amps, you can choose to amp this spell after you successfully blocked an attack with Arrest Trajectory, rather than as a part of casting it. After blocking the missile, you then hurl the intercepted missile back at its source. You cast Telekinetic Projectile, targeting the attacker. You don't need to have the spell in your spell repertoire to cast it in this way. The range is 60 feet, and you can't amp it. So, okay, I like and dislike. I like this because this is a free attack reaction.
Yeah.
My one problem is that you might get to a point where the incoming attack is greatly stronger than your telekinetic projectile. I mean, it makes sense because you're using your mind power to shoot it back at them, but there will be a discrepancy in equality of damage.
Yeah, I kind of want to say this is a ability that you're going to be using frequently with mobs, but more than likely going to be overpowered by something like a boss or something. A boss creature, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think really, if anything, the one big takeaway is that it's a free attack of opportunity and a free defensive buff. Yeah, you may not be dealing a big amount of damage, but defensively speaking, it's really good action economy. Yeah. It's like 2 or 3 actions for the cost of 1 reaction.
Yeah. But anyway, let's jump into the next one called Infinite Eye. The true strength of the mind lies in the knowledge it contains, with each new observation contributing to the totality of its experiences. To grow your experiences and with them your power, you devote yourself to observing as much as possible, casting your senses through space and time with clairvoyance and precognition. Okay, right off the bat, flavor-wise, I'm feeling Rufa in this. All right. Granted spells. First is True Strike, which actually is useful in Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
It's actually good.
Yeah. Second is Augury. And then third is Clairaudience. And then fourth is Clairvoyance. Fifth is Prying Eye. Sixth is True Seeing. 7th is True Target, 8th is Unrelenting Observation, and 9th is Foresight. Surface side cantrips. Standard, Detect Magic, and Guidance unique. Standard is Detect Magic and Guidance, and then unique is Mental Scan. And then the deeper side cantrip is called Future Path. I'm wondering if it has anything with Days of Future Past. Anyway.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we do a lot of nerd references here on this show, so just to let you know. And we're big comic book fans, both me and PJ here.
Yep.
Exactly. Detect Magic. Amp. Your pulse of detection magic helps you gain a sense of nearby magic strength or weaknesses. As long as you detect the presence of magic, you gain a +1 status bonus to saves against magic for 3 rounds. So essentially, I'm feeling like it's kind of like a DBZ Scouter, but for magic. Anyway, Amped Heighten third, when you identify a school of magic, you glean information that helps you tune your defenses against it. When you learn the school of magic, for the highest level effect within range, the status bonus to saves against magic increases to +2 against magic of that school specifically. Amped Heighten fourth, my voice is cracked there. Amp Heighten fourth, you pinpoint a source of magic with great precision. In addition to the bonus against saves, when you pinpoint the source of the highest magic in range, you determine its exact location. However, if the target is still hidden to your other senses, it's concealed to you. So once again, I'm getting major DBZ Scouter vibes tuned specifically to magic from that whole thing there.
I'm definitely loving how the psychic already is taking standard cantrips and making them. I mean, cantrips are already like one of the best spells because they level with you, but now it's even better. Like the fact that detect magic is a saving buff now. Oh my god.
Yeah, and also detect magic. Honestly, I gotta say, since I've been playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I have not really found use for it much at all, really. And yeah, this makes it really, really useful. Like something you're gonna pull out of your pocket at least multiple times during a single game session.
Yeah, like I mean, just considering this, like detect magic is already a good like standard. I don't know what to do, so I'm just gonna slap that button, detect magic. But now it's like, we're in a high magic campaign. This enemy could be a magic user. Slap detect magic. Oh, it's magic? Cool. Everyone get a +2 to saves. This is going to suck. And that is so game breaking to go into a fight with a +2 save against what you're about to fight.
Oh, totally.
It's going to change everything.
Next one is actually, this one's ability that, a magic ability that you do find yourself using a lot if you have it in game, called Guidance. Right, PJ?
Oh,
How many times have we said, yeah, we're going to do a high five of guidance on this before we do anything?
That +1 to everything really comes in handy.
Yep. The amped guidance is the guidance granted by your spell is so astute that it can avoid catastrophic failure. When the target uses the bonus from guidance and critically fails its check, it gets a failure instead.
I need to put out there the fact that in most cases when you get a someone in the chat a week ago put it better than I'm about to, but basically like critical fail resistance, it's usually a feat or it's a high level class feature. At level 1, you get the ability to bestow that as a spell. As long as you're putting guidance on someone, and you're going to spend a focus point for that, which you can get back in 10 minutes for free. They can't critically fail what they're about to do.
Yeah.
Especially at higher levels when the DCs get so high, the 10 under rule actually comes up a lot. Like, that's so good.
It's an automatic, what do you call it, in a circus where there's a net below you. It's an automatic net under you. It's an automatic net, you know?
Mm-hmm.
All right. The next cantrip is called, this is the, just for, I guess, psychics of this ability, called Mental Scan. And you've seen this ability used a lot in movies and media. So, yeah. One action to cast, area of a 30-foot cone. You quickly view your surroundings from a variety of angles, your senses constructing a complex mental picture. You could choose to seek in the spell's area. However, regardless of whether you seek, choose one creature in the area to target. If the target is concealed or hidden from you, you automatically succeed at the flat check to target it with the spell. This counts as preparing to aid one ally of your choice on an attack roll against a creature. And when you take this aid reaction and roll a critical failure, you get a failure instead. And the amp is, your scans are so minute that you could project the creature's likely strength and weaknesses. You learn which of the target's saving throw is the highest and which is the lowest. And you and all allies within 30 feet gain a +1 circumstance bonus to attacks and damage against a creature for 1 round. If you take the aid reaction you prepared for with the mental scan and succeed, these bonuses increase to +2 on the attack you're aiding.
Oh my god.
Oh, this is such a good buff. Such a good buff.
I love this because like whenever you get like remember when we covered the gunslinger and it was very clear that like most of these were not that strong and one was a little too strong if not situational. There is no, so far there is no weak build of psychic, just psychics built for different things.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I kind of want to say thus far, what are they called? The Infinite Eye Psychic. They are major team players.
Yeah, I'm getting the vibe that because like whenever you have a psychic, you always have like the warrior and the controller and the sneaky one. I'm getting the feeling that the distant grasp is, for lack of a better word, the Psy warrior.
Yeah.
With all the damage they do. The Infinite Eye is definitely the support. They are buffing and they are crowd controlling a bit. Yeah. I'm wondering if what's that last one called? The Silent Whisper. I'm wondering if that's the roguey one.
Maybe, but we still have one more cantrip for the Infinite Eye, which is called Future Path. It's a cantrip for its 2 actions to cast, somatic and verbal. All right. You see a perfect path through a danger, knowing exactly where to step and how to move to avoid attacks. You stride. The movement doesn't trigger reactions. Ooh, I like that. If you have the corresponding movement type, you could choose to burrow, climb, fly, or swim instead of stride. Amp. Your vision of the future is so precise that you can move more quickly. You stride twice instead of once. Amp Heighten 8th. You choose to instead project your vision to an ally within 30 feet. Instead of moving yourself, you allow your ally to stride without triggering reactions as a single action. This must be your first action this must be the first action the ally takes on its turn, or the benefit is lost.
This can be really good. It can also be it could be something that requires a lot of communication to execute, right? Because by the time the turns come around, it may not even still be needed. But I'll say this, just for mobility's sake.
Oh, yeah.
This is a great way to get in and out of the fight without getting your face stomped in. As a squishy psychic, this is really good.
I really want to say that, this theater, if you're playing Theater of Mind, this might be somewhat lacking, so I would really suggest working with your GM to determine maybe alternate benefits to this, or just, figure something out. But if you're playing on a map, this is so useful. You know what? Now I'm thinking if you're playing a psychic elf with a monk archetype or a scout archetype, you are going to be the master of movements.
There is, and I don't know if it's here yet, but in 3.5, and I think in Pathfinder, there was an archetype of monk, basically a psychic monk. And like their fists could do like mental damage and some projections and a lot of really cool stuff. Let's go to the last one, Silent Whisper. Before I jump into Silent Whisper, I want to step into the chat, say hello to Adam Generator. He says guidance also works on saving throws. Good to know. What I love about the psychic is the fact that it's a classic. It's stronger the longer the combat is, because the longer the combat, the more options it gets. That is terrifying. Now, speaking of which, I was going to do the whole Careless Whisper, but...
Yeah, really quick, I also want to jump over on a post that Van Axel made. They went into Crystal Ball Psychic. That's very interesting. You know what? I kind of want to say, but I don't think Infinite Eye is that Crystal Ball Psychic, really. It's more, I want to say, I forgot his name, Johnny from Dead Zone, from the Stephen King story and also TV show. That's what's kind of reminding me of Infinite Eye. You remember that show, right? With Anthony Michael Hall. It was really good back in the day.
That was really good. I'm also thinking of because that was a really good show, but my brain is also thinking of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, which is not all the same.
Or if you want to go Disney, That's So Raven.
God, I was right when she used to get visions. I forgot that was a thing. Man, That's So Raven was like a show where they were like, we could have a concept, or we could have 4 bad concepts smushed into one show because we're Disney and we're terrible. We have no faith in our actors. But that being said, Silent Whisper. Every mind murmurs constantly, and the static from those nearby reverberates in your head like wind through the leaves. What better focus for your magic than the very thoughts of those around you? Your versatile telepathic abilities let you soothe and communicate with your allies to control your enemies. Granted for a spell, Mind Link. Number 2, Remove Fear. Number 3, Heroism, which is a really good buff. Number 4, Telepathy. Number 5, Synaptic Pulse. Number 6, Sending. 7th, Visions of Danger. 8, Uncontrollable Dance. And level 9, Telepathic Demand. So yeah, this is definitely, whereas the other one was the buffer, this is the controller. This is the puppet master. Surface side cantrips. Standard, you get Daze and Message. And I know Michael Powell loves that Daze spell.
Oh yeah.
The unique one is Nudge Intent. And the deeper side cantrip is Shatter Mind. So how does Daze become better? Glad you asked. When you amp Daze, the jolt of energy created by the spell cracks the target's mental defenses, leaving them susceptible to further psychic attack. Excuse me. If the target fails its will save, it gains weakness 1 to mental damage until the end of your next turn and takes a -1 penalty to will saves until the end of your next turn. This is I think what Van was saying. It gets more powerful as it continues. On a critical failure, the weakness is 3, and the target is also stunned 1. The weakness applies before Daze deals damage. This just makes Daze buff itself. This is such a good buff. When you've heightened it for every 2 levels, the weakness of a failure or critical is increased by 1. So at level 10, that means that they are getting a weakness 10 to your spell. That's just bonus 10 damage for free. Man, the critical means it's going to be doubled. God damn. Message, pardon my language. Message. Amp, your telepathic message allows you to coordinate your actions with an ally while you pass information. The target of the message can immediately spend its reaction to step or stride. So you're literally just giving your ally a free movement to get out of trouble. And when you've heightened this to 4th level with the amp, the target of the message can choose to shove, strike, or trip with its reaction instead.
Ooh. You know what? You know how I was saying that Infinite Eye was Rufa? I'm taking it back. I'm going with Silent Whisper now. Just from the Daze and Message alone. This is so good.
So good. It's bananas, especially because the Daze buffs itself. Just it does more damage the more you use it. Message basically lets you take 1 action off to be like, hey, barbarian, hit him again. Could you please? Thank you. My God. Also, a quick shout out to the chat. Thank you for correcting me, Van. It was Adam Generator who said that. My apologies, Adam Generator. Adam Generator also says message amp makes you a marshal, but on steroids. Yep.
Reef Psyche posted, you can't call everything Rufa, Michael. Yes, I can. Just watch me.
You can't call everything roof. It's like, you can't just call everything metal, man. All right. So the first focus cantrip, the first psychic cantrip you get from this is called Nudge Intent. You brush, it's a 30-foot range, 2 action, 1 target, saving throw, will. You brush against a foe's thoughts to subtly suggest a course of action. The idea percolates in the depths of their mind that something feels wrong if they attempt to do anything other than your suggestion. Choose either strike, cast a spell, or use a skill action. If the target cannot pursue that option, they are automatically unaffected. For instance, a creature that spells can't cast a spell. Duh. Otherwise, at the beginning of their next turn, the target must either choose to do their best to perform your chosen action that turn or attempt a will save. Regardless of the outcome, the target is then immune for 1 minute. Critical success, nothing. Success, the target is temporarily shaken when it attempts to ignore the instincts telling you to perform the action you chose. It becomes frightened 1. Failure, they become frightened 2, and on a critical failure, they can't shake the sense that its choice will lead to calamity. It becomes frightened 3. Amped, your telepathic push is particularly shocking. If the target fails or critically fails its save, it's also stunned 1. So, let alone you can subtly control combat by telling this idiot what to do. But if he doesn't want to do it, he may end up being stunned 1 and frightened 3. That is.
I'm digging that. I'm digging that ability.
So good. All right.
Oh man, this is basically. I just realized this is basically the psychic magic ability of Simon Says.
Oh my God! It's like Simon Says, but it's a time bomb.
Yeah, or bop it, twist it, squeak it, bop it, twist it, squeeze it.
Well saved. Fortitude save. Shatter Mind. This looks like this is going to be the Silent Whisper's actual attack spell and not just a buff or control spell. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. 15-foot cone from your noodle. 2 actions. Basic will save, which means possibility for double damage. Mm-hmm. You telepathically assail the minds of your foes. You deal 3d6 mental damage to all enemies in the area. It specifically states enemies, not creatures. This means your allies are not affected, which is about damn time. You deal 3d6 mental damage to all enemies in the area with a basic will save. For every 2 levels it is heightened, that damage is increased by 1d6, which I want to say by level 20 means, yeah, you're going to be doing about 10d6 mental damage. Amped. You increase the area to the spell of your choice. 30-foot cone, 60-foot cone? Yeah, either a 30-foot or 60-foot cone. Creatures that fail are stupefied 1 for 1 round, stupefied 2 on a critical failure. So that's a great mage debuff right there. And when you heightened it with the amp, the damage is increased by another 1d6 per 1 level. Holy God.
Yeah.
So that means that could be a total of 15d6 within the 60-foot cone AoE.
I am digging this. I am absolutely loving Shattered Mind.
It is such a good attack spell. And not only is it a good attack spell, again, it probably won't work on like warrior characters, like fighters that you run against. But if you're fighting clerics, if you're fighting wizards, if you're fighting sorcerers, witches, any caster class, and you smack them with a stupefied 2, that's like a -2 to all their their DCs, a -2 to their spell attacks. Like it's a really good buff.
I will say though, it might be a little difficult, especially with casters, mainly for the fact that they're typically at least at this level, I want to say expert to master when it comes to will saves. So you're gonna have to further buff that debuff.
Yeah, and you know, this is what I love about it, because like Shattered Mind by itself, first of all, is a cantrip, so you can do this 3d6 mental damage 5-foot cone AoE all the time, but buffing it is so worth it. You know, not only just the heightened 1d6 every 2 levels, but the 60-foot cone AoE with the potential stupefied 2 on a critical failure, and the bonus to 1d6 per level. Like, this is so strong. Paizo, don't listen to people who say it's broken. It is. It's broken so well.
It's wonderful. It's, in the words of Broken Matt Hardy, wonderful. wonderful. But yeah, this is if that stupefy, the Shattered Mind stupefy does hit a spellcaster, it's gonna just mess them up so bad, so bad.
Yeah, it's a really good debuff. If you're fighting like a wizard boss or any sort of caster boss, you know, and because like that's the thing about like high level TTRPGs, most bosses tend to be casters because or have magic because the magic gets so crazy powerful at high levels. Giving them a -2 to their spell attacks, and spell DCs is very worth it.
Yeah.
But why don't we move on to the Unleash Psyche?
Before we do that, Van Axel actually does have a question here that I really want to for us to kind of try to get to if we can. I may have missed it, but does this interrupt concentrate spells?
Glad you asked. It doesn't say so specifically. Let me double check my cheat sheet, my GM cheat sheet here on the stupefy condition. Let's see. They get a penalty equal to the value of checks DCs based on blah blah blah, including will saves. That's good. Spell attack rolls, DCs. If you cast a spell, it's disrupted unless you pass a flat check of 5 plus the value. So it's not gonna interrupt an ongoing spell, but being stupefied means you do have to roll the flat check before casting a spell. All the more reason to hit a boss wizard with it.
Yeah. Adam Generator wants us to read I believe the psychic trait on the sidebar here on page 8. PJ, what do you say? The key term stuff.
Yeah, I think we can go over that. The amps, I think we've already covered.
Yeah.
Basically, the idea about how the focus points works for the amps. The psyche. I mean, I want to make sure it's not just.
It is related to the next ability that we are going to be talking about.
And it makes sense. It does say here you can't unleash 2 different psyches at once. That makes sense.
Yeah.
While your psyche is unleashed, in addition to its other effects, you're constantly surrounded by the manifestation of your psychic magic. This kind of does go a little bit into what Michael Powell read earlier about how the casting works as a psyker. Or a psyker, good lord, a psychic. Very different. When your psyche is unleashed, in addition to its other effects, you get the manifestation. This allows you to amp 1 psi cantrip each round. Ooh, this is a good point, Adam Generator. This allows you to amp 1 psi cantrip each round without spending the focus point cost to do so. This outpouring of psychic power also overwhelms any other magic you might be able to cast. Until you've returned your mind to normal, the only focus spells you can cast are psi cantrips, even if you have other focus spells, such as from an archetype. Which, if I'm being honest, why would you when you could just have the most busted form of telekinetic projectile the world's ever known?
Just spam mind bullets, mind Gatling guns.
Spam that nasty shattered mind thing constantly.
PJ, there's this. Oh god, I'm blanking on the name of this manga, but the main character has a revolver for a head, and now I'm just thinking, the bullets that he uses basically psychic bullets.
Oh god, I don't know what that is, but it sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
One last thing to read, because I think also Adam was putting this in the chat as well. Your unleashed psyche persists for 3 rounds or until you fall unconscious, whatever happens first. Once your psyche is unleashed, there's no putting it back. You cannot voluntarily exit this state, as heightened stress and tensions are necessary elements for accessing the heightened psychic state. You can unleash your psyche only during encounter mode against a significant threat. You cannot use it to like solve social problems or skill checks. This requirement typically applies in any easier, more challenging encounters, but the GM might allow in some trivial encounters as well. Once you've unleashed your psyche, you can't do so again until you've refocused to bring your mind back to normal. So we're about to get into this in detail. We'll see if the language is repeated, but the general idea is you go super psychic for like 3 rounds. You don't need focus points to buff your psi cantrips, but you can only do this with your psi cantrips, which like that's so bread and butter. Of course you do that.
Adam Generator actually just gave me the title to that anime. It's called No Guns Life.
No guns life.
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
That
it's
is,
it's also a costume that if I ever get back into cosplaying, that's definitely a costume I kind of want to do.
yeah. That could be kind of cool. I mean, I don't know how you do that, but I trust you. Now, looking at the Unleash Psyche feature, it does seem to kind of reiterate the sidebar.
Hmm.
When you unleash your Psyche, it lasts for 3 rounds. During this time, you can amp one side cantrip each round without paying a focus point
Hmm.
cost. Each Psyche action has requirements you have to meet to unleash your Psyche. So it is a little redundant, but
Yeah.
you do get more, I think, information from the sidebar. Why don't you read the Unleashed Focused Intent?
All right. Well, it's one action. The requirement is that it's your third turn of the encounter or later. So this is your combat is going to get, yeah. It's pretty much I forgot who posted this, but it's starting to really sound like psychics are they get really really good the longer combat drags on. Anyway, after some time of accumulating to a stressful situation, your psychic magic flares to greater destructive power. When you cast a spell from your spell slots while you have the unleashed focus intent, you gain a status bonus to that spell's damage equal to double the spell's level as long as the spell deals damage and doesn't have a duration. The drawback is the focus on offense comes at the expense of your defensive instincts. You take a -2 penalty to AC while you've unleashed focus intent.
Oh my god,
Dude,
this is so powerful.
oh man, this once again reminds me of another anime. Yeah, references upon references on this show. God, was it Mob 1000 or 10,000? It's the anime about that one kid in Japan, a school kid who
Oh yeah,
has this
Mob Psycho.
Mob
Yeah,
Psycho. Yeah, has this. I'm just thinking in stressful use when that character's in stressful situations. Basically, he has unleashed focus intent.
dude, some of the Paizo writers are such huge weebs. I would not be
Yeah.
surprised if that was from this. Also, I just love this is now becoming one of the most powerful and most simplified classes of
Hmm.
caster I've ever seen. You activate this other buff on top of your other buff on top of your other buff. Next thing you know, if you crit with a telekinetic projectile, you're doing 1d8 plus 5 plus, well, it's a cantrip, so it doesn't work. So let's just call it something else. Let's go down the line and say, I don't know, I can't think of an occult spell at this level,
Yeah.
but something similar. So it's like
Yeah.
you're doing like 2d6 plus spell casting plus at least another 2 damage if it's a level
Yeah.
1 spell.
Adam Jenner actually posted. This definitely makes a lot of sense. This is basically Barbarian Rage. So yeah, this is basically a mental version of, well, not mental. This is basically a psychic version of Barbarian's Rage.
Ooh, Atom Generator, you devious devil, you gave me an idea. I want to see what Magic Missile can do. Hold on, because now I'm thinking, what if we take Magic Missile? Let's just say make it a 5th level spell,
Yeah.
right? And it crit. No, they can't crit because it's an automatic hit. Damn. Still.
Days?
Maybe that's cantrip though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do some research while we keep reading along. Because it looks
Burning
like
Hands.
is that an occult spell?
Yeah, I think so. It can be. I think.
Huh. Hey, we'll go into it soon. But before we get lost in that tangent, I just want to just kind of knock out all the boring
Yeah,
particulars.
yeah,
You get a psychic feat at 2nd level. Makes sense. You get so much good stuff at level
yeah.
1.
Hmm.
You kind of deserve not getting a feat at 1st level.
Yeah.
So at 2nd level and every 2 levels thereafter, you get a class feat. Skill feats, same deal. At level 3, your general feats at 3rd and 4th level, pretty straightforward. And then the dope thing is at level 3. At level 3, you start getting access to signature spells. And it works, to my knowledge, just like the other signature
Yeah.
spells from different casters who get it. It's just related to your occult and your psychic stuff. Crazy.
Yeah.
Skill increases at 3rd level every 2 levels thereafter, blah, blah, blah. Pretty traditional. Ability boost at 5. You get precognitive reflexes, which is basically just the reflex increase to expert. Expert spellcaster at 7th, great fortitude at 9, walls of will at 11th, which makes your will saves a master. You are a master willpower at 11. and you cannot critically. And every time you roll a success, you get a critical success instead. Oh, it's
Yeah.
not the fail; it's the other way up. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's basically Professor X's mental blocks.
Yup. 11. Let's see here.
Weapon
Basically
expertise.
means your weapon expertise. Your weapons are expert. Your personal barrier at 13th makes your unarmored defense as expert. Weapon specialization at 13th. It takes a long time to get to, and quite frankly, you're never going to benefit from this unless
Yeah.
you just, for some dumb reason, want to rock up on a dude with a steel pipe while your brain is sporting nukes. What are you doing? Master Spellcaster at 15th, get those DCs to Master. Fortress at Will at 17. Become legendary at will saves. Crit on a normal success. You cannot crit fail any will save. And when you roll a failure on a will against a damaging effect, you only take half damage.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, that is super. It's going to be super useful late game or high level games.
This is, I think, and please, Adam Generator or anyone else in chat, correct me if I'm wrong. Has any other class have the evasion skill for their mind? Because I've never seen that.
Yeah.
That is dope as hell.
Also, Adam Generator. He corrected me. Burning Hands is not an occult spell, but I still want. I will still stand by the fact that with certain feats, I feel that occult spellcasters can still get Burning Hands.
Oh, they can. It's just it still does not count as an occult spell. I don't believe it's still an arcane or primal spell. Hold on, I'm gonna figure out what attack spells for a first level occulter would work for this, because most of these are very much like save or suck.
But anyway,
so it's hard to find what I can crit
let's
with.
finish off the
Yeah.
thing here.
Right, because we're almost done.
Yeah.
Legendary spellcaster at 19th. Your DCs and your spell bonuses are legendary. Legendary, dear God. And of course, last one, Infinite Mind. You get access to 10th level spells. You can add 2 common spells to your repertoire. And of course, only get the 1 slot. You don't gain more 10th level spells as you level up. Would make sense anyway. And you can take a mind over matter psychic feat to get the 2nd slot. That's basically it. So your traits, your good old fashioned buff a boy up, are so good, because it takes the 2 things that you are good at, and it roids it to the gills.
Yeah.
You're gonna suck on fortitude saves, but of course you're gonna suck at fortitude saves.
Yeah. And honestly, I want to say I don't mind that their spell list doesn't go, their spell list is somewhat limited by the pure fact that this class, the whole mechanics of it is geared towards amping up your cantrips and the lower level spells you do have, which you can cast more and also amp up.
Yeah. Okay. So I found the soup du jour of that badass, like, super psychic buff spell ability, the Unleash thing. You get Biting Words, which at level 1 is a ranged spell attack that deals 2d6 sonic damage if you hit, which does double on a crit, and it gets, just for the sake of math with me, right? Level 20, a level 10 Biting Words, I don't know if you want to do that, but why not? That gives you a total of 20d6 sonic damage. As a level 10 spell, that means it's also, because of that buff, going to get another 20 damage added to it. 20d6 plus 20. It's critable, which means it can be 40d6 plus 40 sonic damage. Goodbye. It's dead. You've won. It's gone. This buff is insane.
Yeah. Ooh. So far, I gotta say, just from what we got here, Psychic, I'm loving it. I am really digging how the playtest is designed. I will say, just a little bit of tightening and the final release, and especially once we find out the other, psychic subclass of stuff is finalized, I think this could honestly be a really, really great, viable class in Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Yeah, it's I mean, the raw defensive mechanics of this are very, very good. A little niche, but very good. The way that they incorporate amping and cantrips and this really solid
Yeah.
list of focused spells. This is probably, in my opinion, one of the strongest and simplest casters out there. Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
get all the awesome perks that sorcerers get. You don't get the fun roleplay that witches can jump into. But you're a freaking Mack truck with a mind
Yeah,
beam.
I'm loving how straightforward this is. This is for, you know what? People who don't like to play spellcasters would enjoy playing this class, and people who enjoy playing spellcasters can squeeze the most out of this class.
Yeah, I see something that's really good here for like
Yeah.
newbie caster players and vet caster players, especially the juggling of the subconscious, the conscious mind, the the unleash psyche
Yeah.
gives you so much potential at level 1 to master by level 20 that you're going to have some really fun combinations and powers.
You know what? Let's jump into now the psychic feats.
Let's do it.
Yeah. You want to start off or should I?
Why don't you start off?
All right. We are first in the, well, first level feats. And the first one is called Ancestral Mind. By unraveling memories and connections passed down from your progenitors, you learn to convert your inherent magic into psychic powers. You can cast any innate spells you know from an ancestry feat or heritage using your psychic spellcasting components. When you do, the spell's tradition becomes occult, if it hasn't already, and you can use your psychic spellcasting ability modifier instead of the ability modifier you would ordinarily use from your ancestry spells if different, to determine your spell attack roll and spell DC. So much like Apocalypse, what's that quote that he does? I am the, you will break upon my shores or something.
I don't remember, but what I love about this is like, say you mentioned earlier about being an elven psychic. Elves get access to Acid Splash as a cantrip, that's as an innate cantrip that they can change the elemental damage of to, I think, the big four. I think it's called like Wrath of Nature. And what's dope about this is that that's an arcane spell, right? Arcane primal. But now it's an occult spell for you, and it's an awesome AoE spell that levels up as you level up, and you can make it based on, I think it's normally like an intelligence-based one. You can make it a charisma-based cult spell that you can cast with all of your like psychic modifiers. It's really good.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, here I think I found it. Where is it? I am the rocks of the internal shore. Crash against me and be broken.
That's the line. Thank you, Reap Psyche. That is such a good line. Next up, Counter Thought. It's a level 1 reaction feat. Creature casts a spell that has the same that has the mental trait. You have an unexpended spell slots. Wait a minute. This is counter spell for mental spells.
Yeah.
This is exactly that. You lose a spell slot against a triggering spell. Let me make sure one little bit of detail.
It has to have the mental trait.
Yeah, hold on. I just want to make sure it's not like you have to have the exact same spell prepared or in your repertoire. It says here, you lose your spell slot as if you'd cast a triggering spell. The spell slot must be one for which you could cast a spell with the mental trait. So in theory, you're just counterspelling any mental spell. I don't think you actually have to have it prepared or know it. You just, oh, it's a mental spell. Nope. That is such a good level 1 feat. Oh my, moving right along before I lose my mind.
If anything, you know what? Hey, PJ.
Yeah.
Either you or I, one of us, let's hit up one of the designers at Paizo with, hey, what does this really mean? Or somebody in chat, tweet this out. Tweet this so we can get some clarification on it.
Yeah, counter thought. Does it mean that the spell trait just has to have the mental trait in it, or does it have to be a mental trait spell that you have in repertoire or prepared? Next one, mental buffer. You want to read that one really fast?
Sure. Mental buffer, feat level 1. Your mind deflects some amount of harms from attacks that induce pain or manipulate your mind directly. You gain resistance to mental damage equal to half your level. This resistance increases to equal while your psychic is unleashed. Your psyche is unleashed. So, okay. Early level games, this might not come up, but the fact that late game, this could be so powerful because it does. Because the fact that you're gonna be facing off, you might be end up what's the word I'm looking for? Facing off against enemies that'll be attacking you directly in your mind.
Yeah, or even just like you're fighting anyone who casts occult spells. Like half of those things are mental spells.
True.
And the fact that now granted, mental spells that do damage with occult, not as common as other types, but the fact that you can still walk out there with you've activated your buff, you have a 20 resistance, that's pretty solid.
Yeah. Oof.
Psychic rapport. When you are affected by a spell or mental spell, or have cast a mental spell this round, you get a +1 circumstance bonus on deception, diplomacy, and intimidation checks, and on perception checks to sense motive. It's nice, ? Like, it's not bad. I think it really goes for people that want to basically use diplomacy or use skill checks in combat to end combat, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Which is possible. And at level 1, having that access is really good.
I will say this is actually a really good ability if you're playing a social game or a cityscape game.
Yeah. I'm really curious what the next one is. Unleash self-defense.
Well, let's find out. It's level 1 feat, 1 action. Requirements are you've cast 2 beneficial spells on yourself or an ally this encounter, each on a different round. Once again, psychics. They're really good later on in combat. The conflict-averse aspects of your personality float calmly to the surface, causing your mind to subconsciously deflect incoming attacks, though this comes at a cost of reduced fatal intent behind your spells. The benefit is, while this psyche is unleashed, you gain a +1 status bonus to your AC and to 1 saving throw of your choice, decided when you unleash your psyche. All your spells that don't have the death trait gain the non-lethal trait. So that -2 to your AC just becomes a -1. So it does help. The drawback here is the pacifist influence on your mind makes it difficult for your spells to strike a killing blow. You take a penalty to spell damage rolls equal to the level of the spell. You also take a -1 penalty to spell attack rolls and DC of any spells that deals damage or otherwise affects the target's health or hit points, including those that apply to the drain condition, disease, or poison the target or kill the target. See, this is actually really good if you're like Mando and you need to take him in warm.
Yeah, if you can't take him in cold, you gotta take him in warm.
Yeah.
I think that this one definitely goes well with the psychic rapport of someone who doesn't want to kill their way to victory. They want to diplomatize or passively take their way to victory.
Yeah.
I'll say this. My brain, I see so much damage potential for this class. So when I hear that level 1, you could take a feat that basically nerfs you, it seems very counterintuitive. But hey, that is a character choice. That's a player choice to make.
Yeah.
Not
also,
me.
I want to say it is a situational way because as we said before, if your quest is to bring something in alive and you bring in the ragged body that's been chopped to bits and its mind fried out, things aren't going to go well with negotiations after that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Starting off the second level of feats, you have Cantrip expansion. You've seen this with almost every caster at this point. Basically adds 2 cantrips to your repertoire. Not the cantrips per day that you can cast, but the cantrips you can know. Yeah. This could be good if you feel like the cantrips you have are not diverse enough, but since you only get 3, to choose from, plus the ones from your type of conscious mind. I don't know. Like, if you haven't chosen the ones you wanted already, I don't see how this is going to help you.
I kind of feel like because there are actually quite a bit of cult cantrips on the list. I kind of want to say you just get access to 2 more of those.
You get access to knowing them, not casting them.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So it goes through, like, you already know at least the 3 plus the 2 from your conscious mind and maybe one other. So you may know like 5, 6, 7 cantrips, but you're still only casting like 3 to 5.
I want to say it's more like having the right tools for certain situations. Yeah,
and I'm saying, like, this could be nice if you need more, but I feel like within those 5 cantrips, if you haven't already found the tools, then this could be helpful. It really depends on the player. Why don't you the next one, Mental Balm.
All right, Mental Balm. It's a feat level 2. As your psychic magic flares, you release soothing mental waves to stabilize the mind. Use this amp in place of the Psi cantrip's normal amp entry. You can use this amp only on a Psi cantrip that targets or affects one or more of your allies and doesn't target or affect any enemies. Amp. You or one ally within 30 feet gain a +1 bonus to will saves against emotion effects for 1 round. You can also have the amped Psi cantrip attempt to counteract one effect on yourself or the chosen ally, imposing the frightened condition, or an effect imposing the stupefied condition that has a duration of 1 hour or less. On a success, you end the frightened and stupefied conditions, but you don't end any other parts of the effect, if any. I like this, maybe for that both frightened and stupefied are really, really great conditions to impose on enemies.
Yeah, I like that you can also get to end that condition, but you don't end any parts of the effect.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Let's see, next one, Warp Space. It's an amp psychic. As you unleash your spell, you use your magic to bend and distort space, allowing your spell to strike your target from an unexpected vector. Use this amp in place of the Psi cantrip's normal amp entry. It must have a range on the cantrip to do this. Choose a square within 30 feet and determine your spell's line of effect and line of sight from there as well. As whether creatures have cover against that spell, any bonus from cover the target has is reduced by 2 against this spell. The spell cannot exceed its normal range as measured from you. So what's really cool is you're basically choosing a different location to originate the spell. This would be a little difficult for Theater of the Mind. This would be really dope for like an actual tabletop. Any bonus from cover the target has. So if you, in theory, within that 30 feet, could get to a position where they have no cover to you, you can absolutely, at level 2, bypass their cover, it sounds like.
Yeah. This is really great if you're playing, like you said, on a map. And honestly, positioning is, I want to say, one of the least utilized things I've seen so far since honestly, playing TTRPGs that a lot of players don't really keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Oh, clarification from Adam Generator, and this is actually kind of important to know. So if you are a spontaneous caster, like the Psychic, you can cast any cantrip you know at will. Yes, however, it does mention in the chart that you still have like the 3 to 5 cantrips. So I don't know how to make the difference between those two. But if it's all it takes is what you know, right? Then that means in theory you can cast those like 5, 7, 8 cantrips at any time. But I want to say there's a reason why they limit the number. And you know what? I'm confusing myself.
Yeah, honestly,
let's move right along.
Really quick, I just want to say I feel like this is just a different take on how the Magus and the Summoner spellcasting is done, kind of.
Yeah. And Adam Generator, I know the 3 to 5 cantrips without the feat. I think my confusion is like if you add 2 more, because the 5 cantrips is the 3 that you get for base level plus your psychic conscious mind. I'm trying to figure out if that knowledge like basically means you can in theory cast 7 cantrips a day or what. But that's just my confusion, and I'll figure that out later. I think you're right ultimately, but we'll move on because we have so much more to cover.
Yeah.
Why don't you get Psychic Beacon?
All right, Psychic Beacon. We're now on the 4th level feats. Psychic Beacon is, as your spell strikes a target, you plant a beacon in their mind that announces their presence to those nearby. Use this amp in place of the Psi Cantrip's normal amp entry. The amp spell must be one that has one or more targets, and must either require a spell attack roll or have a saving throw. Amped. Choose one creature that's hit by the spell if the spell has a spell attack roll, or that fails to save against the spell if the spell requires a save. A magical beacon leaves a telltale clue that makes it easier to notice the creature for 1 minute. If the target was invisible, it instead merely concealed for 1 minute. If it wasn't concealed, it's no longer concealed for 1 minute, as the beacon clears up the concealment and makes it perfectly easy to see, even in areas of poor visibility. So yeah, this is a great way to deal with enemies that tend to use items that grant them invisibility, or spells that give them invisibility, or even enemy rangers that uses the sneak sneak action.
It's definitely a fun. Like I can see this working very well with the distant eye. No, the infinite eye.
Yeah.
Conscious mind, because it effectively makes it so that it takes their rank of cover or concealment one level less. So if they're invisible, they're concealed. If they're concealed, they're not concealed at all. So it's pretty good level 4.
Yeah. Adam Generate posted. It's basically glitter dust for a single target. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. Let me see here. Next up, Spontaneous Ignition. The sheer intensity of your mental focus causes spontaneous combustion. Use this amp in place of the Psi Cantrip's normal amp. I love that what they're giving with these feats are basically new ways to amplify and customize your spells. That makes it further interesting to me.
Honestly, I'm just going to say this. It's basically a easier to understand version of meta magic feats.
Yeah, and more prevalent too. Where meta magic tends to be kind of simple to either a core class mechanic or like widened or longened or quickened. Spontaneous ignition. Half of any damage dealt by the amped Psi Cantrip is instead fire damage, and the spell also deals additional 1 fire damage per spell level. The spell gains the fire trait. If the spell deals more than 1 type of damage, change half that damage to each type of fire. So if you're casting a level 10 cantrip at level 20, this does 10 bonus damage, and half of I guess the total damage is fire base.
PJ. Spontaneous ignition with the Days Cantrip. You're basically a fire starter from a Stephen King novel.
Yes, and you're not wrong. Like, and look at this. This is a great level 4 buff, especially if you want to play the Distant Grasp. We're really focused on damage dealing. You're just getting more raw damage. Now, fire, of course, is one of those things that like endgame gets a little difficult to deal with because most creatures are immune or resistant to fire. But this is still really good.
Unless you're like in the say in like a jungle setting, like the Mwangi Expanse, or fighting the plant people, leshies. I think that would be very useful. I think, but anyway, we are now on our last level 4 feat, which is called Strain Mind. It's a free action, and the frequency is once per hour. Requirements: you have 0 focus points, and you don't have Psyche Unleashed. Actually, the fact that psychics are really good late in combat, this could come up more often than not, actually. Just going to say that. The trigger is you cast a Psi Cantrip. You strain your body beyond its limits. To use an amp, even when your mental power is depleted. You apply an amp you know to a spell, and instead of paying the normal focus point cost, you lose hit points equal to double the level of the amped psi cantrip as you bleed from your nose or suffer from other visible signs of strain. Okay, you know what? I'm loving this, and I'm also really digging the flavor of this.
I really like it because the risk first reward on this is potentially solid. This makes me laugh though because it reminds me of the Kineticist, and I think the Kineticist in Pathfinder 1. Please correct me because they made a bunch of psychic classes all at once.
Yeah.
And one of them was, in order to like really buff your class up, you had to suffer burn or potentially suffer burn, which did have these kind of like damaging effects if you kept pushing yourself past your burn limitation.
Yeah, I kind of want to say, because I haven't played Pathfinder. I haven't really played Pathfinder First Edition, but the Kineticist sounds like in Pathfinder Second Edition, it's been turned into the Distant Grasp conscious mind subclass.
Oh yeah, the Kineticist was like the distant mind on steroids. It was like, hey, your entire class is shooting beams from your forehead.
Yeah.
Do you want it to be a physical blast or an energy blast? You can mix and match. You got some crazy ability. It was basically just mind blast all day, every day.
Yeah.
And then at level 20, you could go supernova doing 10d10 plus 10 times.
Yeah. But anyway,
Bananas.
let's jump now into the 6th level feats. And PJ, why don't you take that first one there?
Inertial barrier. Inertial barrier. Your spell leaves behind barriers that reduce shock and motion. Use this amp in place of another amp. You or one target of the spell gain resistance to your physical damage equal to 2 plus the spell's level until the start of your next turn. So again, level 20 with level 10 cantrips, whenever you use a psi cantrip, you can amp it so that you get a DR 12 is physical damage. That's not bad. Keep you alive, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm actually liking this. It's not that bad.
This amp system.
Next one is Parallel Breakthrough. 6th level feat. You expand your mind beyond your area of psychic specialty. Excuse me. You gain the unique surface psi cantrip for a conscious mind other than your own. You don't gain any other benefits of that conscious mind, such as additional spells known or the amps for the other surface cantrips. This is actually really good. If you're Infinite Eye, and you want to take that surface psi ability of I'm blanking, the whisper one. The Silent Whisper, I think you call it.
Silent Whisper, yeah.
Yeah. Which is days, I think.
Let's see here. You gain a unique surface psi cantrip for a conscious mind other than your own. Yeah. You don't gain any other benefits of that conscious mind, such as additional spells known or the amps for the surface cantrips. But the fact of the matter is, you're still getting. Let's see. You're still getting the unique size surface cantrip. So yeah, it kind of lets you multi-class a little bit in your own class, which can really come in handy.
Yeah, it's more options, and that's always great.
Always good. And so if you're like, man, I love having like distant grasp and doing all like the range fighting stuff, but I really would love to have just a little bit more crowd control. Boom, there it is.
Exactly.
6th sense. You can detect the lingering thoughts of spirits and similar entities with your psychic abilities. While you're exploring, but not searching, the GM rolls a secret check for you to find haunts that usually require searching, as well as spirits and creatures on the ethereal plane, and being made entirely of spiritual essence, such as celestial fiends and monitors. You can also potentially notice ethereal creatures and spirits inside solid objects, provided they're within 30 feet of you. This applies while searching, while seeking, and on the automatic secret check from 6th sense. You can still notice spirits only on a successful check, and you can't see them for more than 5 feet. If they are more than 5 feet inside an object. When you notice a creature with your 6th sense, you also notice location, making it hidden to you if it had been undetected. This is fun, really great for roleplay, but
situational.
Yeah, and the fact that this requires more work on the GM side is kind of frustrating to me. Like the GM is already juggling 5 people's presences, psychological wins, and everything else, and then has to start making secret checks.
Yeah.
And even then, like, what's the prompt for the GM to do that?
Would you instead prefer like +2 to perception when doing seeking for, you know, creatures on a ethereal plane or something?
Yeah, I would like a bit more player agency with this. Yeah, taking a feat that gives you surprises is always kind of fun, but it also puts, and it's funny, it feels like it's a little bit, but it is a lot more work on the GM's point to go, okay, I need to now be aware that this character has this at all times, and I'll have to figure out when to throw this at them.
I want to say that the investigator, a lot of investigators, some of their special feats and abilities are very, very similar.
Yeah, I would much rather this be something that the player asks the GM about specifically, and then they get bonuses or even get access to things like if they don't have Ghost Sight, well, they can see now.
And I just want to say, hint is why didn't take those feats as an investigator.
Like, the bottom line, find a way to give the player more agency in doing that. Give a little less work to the GM.
All right, next feat is called Thought Form Summoning. You can create a prototypical creature from the depths of your imagination. Whenever you summon a creature, you could choose to instead create a psychic construct in the shape of that creature. This grants its resistance to physical damage equal to half its level, weakness to 5 to force and mental damage, and the ability to pass through enemy spaces without needing to tumble through, though it can't end its turn in such a space. So PJ, I think this is a great feat for a fan of Green Lantern like yourself.
I will definitely accept that. Although I would argue constructs of the Green Lantern Corps are not weak to force because they are. That's besides the point. This is definitely very, very cool, especially like giving any player customization in the creatures they can summon with the summon spells. I like that a lot. Unleashed Calculated Reasoning. It's a 1-action feat. Precise Discipline, Subconscious Mind. Now we're starting to get some perks for Subconscious Minds. I like that. You've cast 2 damaging spells since rolling initiative, each on a different round. Your mind overflows with the calculated confidence that all results should be exactly what you've determined them to be. I am never wrong. While the psyche is unleashed, when you would roll damage for a spell, you can instead choose to deal half the spell's maximum damage instead of rolling. This is full damage and is still halved on a half damage result, double on a double damage result, and so on. Unlike other psyches, Unleashed Calculated Reasoning has no drawback. You've taken everything into account and canceled all of the drawbacks out. You have effectively activated, what's that skill?
I was gonna say you effectively affected
Yeah, no, but there's a thing, an ability you can take so that you don't have to roll a skill. You always treat it like you rolled reliable. Reliable. You now have, instead of reliable skill, you have reliable damage.
Yeah. Also, I want to say
that's really good.
Hey, Reef Psyche, this is
Assurance.
Rufa-esque.
Assurance. Thank you, Van Adam. My brain absolutely crapped out on that. Assurance. You get assurance on damage.
AKA Rufa-esque.
You can't just call it Rufa-esque and have it be Rufa-esque, man.
It's gonna become a T-shirt at this point.
I mean, you could always try. Let's see the next one.
I mean, I'm the one designing T-shirt, so yeah.
I mean, sure. Unleash Soaring Passions. Why don't you knock that one out of the park?
All right, level 6 feat. Unleash Soaring Passions is 1 action. Prereq is Emotional Acceptance, Subconscious Mind. So you have to have that of your subconscious mind. Requirements: you use 2 emotion effects since rolling initiative, each on a different round. Your power crests with each victory and ebbs with each setback. While the psyche is unleashed, If you succeed on a spell attack roll, you gain a +2 status bonus to your next spell attack roll, and if an enemy fails to save against your spell, it takes a -2 status penalty to your next save as they attempt against one of your spells. This bonus or penalty lasts until the end of your turn. Drawback: while this Psyche is unleashed, when you fail at a spell attack roll, you take a -1 penalty to your next spell attack roll. If an enemy succeeds at its save against your spell, you gain a +1 status bonus to the next save they attempt against one of your spells. The penalty or bonus lasts until the end of your next turn.
I like the bonuses for this, but compared to just assurance on damage with no drawback, I mean, safe damage is best damage. If you know that like that 40d6 plus 40 is going to be exactly half of that,
yeah,
do it. Just do it.
Yeah. Oh, I just want to address Van Axel. Next season on Disney, That's So Rufa.
That's so Rufa. Oh no, I don't know. I get to see you come into the room. It's like, what? There's no more houses for people, but who bought all the houses? And like, just like crap eating grin. It's like, Rufa. Anyway, now we're moving to the deeper breakthrough, level 8, with deeper breakthrough. This basically allows you to access the deeper side cantrip, like your conscious mind. So that really good stuff, like shattering mind and things like that, you get those at level 8. I'll knock out Lingering Psyche fast because it's also a short one. When you unleash your Psyche, you can remain in that state longer. Okay, level 8 feat, Lingering Psyche. Instead of 3 rounds of that buff, you can now do it for 5 rounds. It's pretty dang good.
Yeah, especially, basically a longer Barbarian Psychic Rage.
They're both pretty solid. I don't know. I want to get the next one.
Next up is called Mental Static. Level 8 feat. Trigger is you roll a critical success on a will save against a mental effect from a creature. Your thoughts sting back when your thoughts sting back when a lesser mind tries to invade your own. You deal mental damage equal to your level to the triggering creature. This effect has the non-lethal trait. If you desire, you can also send them a single mental image to coincide with the damage, such as a watching eye or the dread of floating in an infinite sea. So basically, you can send bad vibes.
Yeah, like non-lethal bad vibes. I kind of dig this. It's a fun like attack of ops for the mind. Well, this one's a long one. Last level 8 feat, Mesmerizing Gaze. Eye contact can help you invade another creature's thoughts as though you were peering directly through their eyes and into their mind. When you cast an enchantment spell that targets only one creature within 30 feet who can see you, you can gaze into the creature's eyes, causing the creature to take a -1 status penalty to their saving throws against your spell, unless they choose to break eye contact as a reaction. If they don't look away, you're fascinated with them until the end of your next turn as you maintain eye contact. When you use Mesmerizing Gaze, the Avert Gaze action provides its bonus to saving throws against your spell, as the spell's effects have become connected to the eye contact. This sounds like a very long-winded way of saying lose most of your mobility to give a -1 penalty to your spell.
Yeah, and also I'm really hoping that they didn't turn Mesmerist and kind of just turned it into a level 8 feat for a psychic. I'm still kind of holding out hope that Mesmerist might end up being a archetype in Dark Archives.
Yeah, I think it really depends. I mean, like if you take the entire Mesmeric class and distill it into a feat, obviously it feels a little rude. But with everything that we have right now, and this is just me being removed from the content for quite some time, I'm not sure how much is really left to activate to get Mesmerist. Aside from Spirit alone, like obviously the name and some other mechanics, but like Spirit alone, you know what I mean?
I mean, I think because I did look into first edition Pathfinder Mesmerist, I still think some of the tricks that the Mesmerist could do could be translated into a archetype. But anyway, I digress. That's something we'll find out once Archives actually drops. A finalized version of Dark Archives drops, so we'll discuss it then. But anyway, we are now at the 10th level. Autonomic clairvoyance. Level 10 feet. Prereq for this is Infinite Eye, Conscious Mind. Your mind constantly scans and observes your surroundings. You gain a +1 status bonus to initiative rolls. You aren't flat-footed, hidden. Oh, you aren't flat-footed to hidden, undetected, or flanking creatures of your level or lower, or creatures of your level or lower using surprise attack. However, they can still help their allies flank.
You're a Jedi.
Yeah.
Jedi. I don't know. That's kind of cool. Also, Michael Powell, the chat has been saying that there is a meme in our Nat20 Discord you might like. I have seen the meme. It's a good meme. I think you'd like it.
I will check this out after the show, mainly for the fact that I don't want, our broadcast to crash.
Yes, and I appreciate that too. That would make it very weird for our audience. So, technically speaking, it's time to end this, but I think we're just going to charge right through these last 10 feet because it's the only time we're going to really get to cover this. Autonomic telekinesis, level 10 feet. The distant grasp conscious mind. You can move objects even without casting a specific spell. You can telekinetically perform simple interact actions within squares adjacent to you, such as opening a door. You can't perform actions that require significant manual dexterity, including any action that would require a check to accomplish, and you can't use it to hold items, though you can use an interact action to telekinetically draw a nearby item to a hand to hold it. You're a Jedi. You're a damn Jedi. I love it.
Yeah. Next up is autonomic telepathy. Feat level 10. Prereq for this is Silent Whisper, Conscious Mind. You can use your mind to communicate at all times. You can communicate mentally with any creature within a 15-foot aura as long as you share a language. This doesn't give any special access to your thoughts and communicates no more information than normal speech would. The communication is two-way. In addition, when communicating via any form of telepathy, you gain a +1 circumstance bonus to perception when attempting to sense motive or detect lie. Yeah, you're once again, you're a Jedi. You're a Professor X Jedi.
I love that. Yeah, the language is, but at least to give you some mechanics. You create a 15-foot aura, and anything within that aura, you automatically get this perception bonus to sense motive or lie, to detect a lie.
Yeah, basically you talk shit with your friend without anybody around you noticing.
I mean, I think it goes deeper than that, but you're not wrong. It's definitely a way you could do that.
Did you see her dress? Oh God, it's so last year.
Using psychic powers for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. Next up is signature spell expansion, level 10 feet. Your direct mental grasp of your power lets you cast some more spells with greater freedoms. You gain 2 additional signature spells, each of which must have a minimum level of 3rd or lower. So more signature spells, more powerful. You get to have that nice reliance and okay, I got these bardic spells, occult spells ready to go. I'm just going to blast them out of my noggin. If I'm being honest, though, why the hell wouldn't you just rely on your cantrips? They're so good.
Yeah. All right, next up is called Unleash Dark Persona. One action requirements is the same enemy has damaged you on at least 2 of its turns in this encounter. Your rage and pain coincide with your dark persona, the portion of your psyche dedicated to cruel and immediate retribution. I like that. Benefit. Your focus narrows on the enemy who damaged you. If multiple enemies have damaged you on at least 2 turns, select one. Whenever you deal damage to a selected enemy with a spell that doesn't have a duration, you gain a status bonus to the damage equal to the spell level, or double the spell level if you cast a spell from your spell slots. Additionally, you gain temporary hit points equal to the spell's level that lasts until the beginning of your next turn. Drawback: your dark persona is focused on destroying your hated foe, and pays little attention to other foes or your allies. While your dark persona is unleashed, you can cast beneficial spells on your allies, and you take a -1 penalty on your checks and DCs against targets other than your chosen foe. If you defeat the selected enemy, your dark persona ends even if the psyche's duration hasn't passed. So this is a lot like in other editions, favored enemy of a ranger, and also flavor-wise, in my mind, I'm thinking the Dark Passenger from Dexter.
Yeah, what I'm seeing with this, this is such a good buff spell. This is basically like another Unleashed Psyche spell. And the drawbacks make me go, well, yeah, that sucks, but at the same time, also, if you're using the spell, it's because you absolutely have to burn down one dude very quickly.
Yeah.
And combining this benefit with, what's it called? Unleashed Psyche. And I'm looking for language that suggests you can't do both. Because if you can do both, that's so much bonus damage.
It's basically F that guy.
Yeah. Oh, it might be because they're both status bonuses.
Yeah.
Either way, that's such a good combination. Or at least I could say, like, differential bonuses. Yeah, I love that one at level 10. Especially because, like, if you're looking to just pump out more damage, it's the most straightforward way to do that. Number 12, or level 12 now. Empathic Connection Reaction. Once per 10 minutes, ally within 30 feet benefits from an emotional effect. It's the emotional acceptance subconscious mind ability. Your sensitivity to your allies' emotions allows you to benefit from some of the same effects they do. Choose one of the following two benefits. If the ally regained hit points due to the triggering effect, you can gain half of those as temporary hit points until the end of your next turn. If the ally gained a status bonus to a type of save or other check due to the triggering effect, you gain the same bonus. This benefit ends at the end of your next turn if it hasn't already ended before due to normal limitations or duration. So this is kind of cool. You're kind of like copycatting a buff and having a bard in the party or someone else can really make the psychic more powerful.
Yeah, it's basically it takes off some of the stress and work from your cleric or your other buffers.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I'm just loving this chat right now. If you're playing Shuni, does that mean the ability becomes a dark persona or a beastkin? No, Adam Generator, I love Beatkin much better because I'm thinking of like a dubstep furry. Can you imagine that nightmare?
Anyway, let's move on to the next feat, next level 12 feat called Mantra of Discipline. One action, prereq is precise discipline and subconscious mind. You mentally or audibly utter a word or phrase that gives you the mettle to see through tricks and endure pain. Your mantra grants you a +1 status bonus to saving throws against illusion and enchantment effects until the start of your next turn. You also gain this bonus against any effect that works primarily by causing pain, even if it isn't an illusion or enchantment effect, as well as resistance equal to half your level against damage caused by such an effect. These effects must work primarily by inflicting pain, such as phantom pain or savor the sting, rather than simply causing injury. The GM is the final arbiter of what counts as such an effect.
Okay, interesting. I like that's defensive ability. I don't know.
I like it. I think it could be useful. I think it could be useful.
Absolutely. There's a lot of defenses to it that seem to go up to either some specific measures or GM discretion. But I mean, resistance is it's always good.
Yeah. And honestly, higher levels, when you're doing saving throws and stuff like that, the risk is going to be so much higher.
Yeah, and with a class.
Oh, I think PJ just lagged out there for a second, folks. So let's just wait upon him. Until we get to the next feat, which is Unleash Immediate Gratification. Let's see, jumping in the chat real quick. Adam Generator posted, "That's busted with the aid action." I'm guessing that's with the empathic connection. And yeah, those two together could be very, very, very useful. Oh, oh, still gone. Adam Generator. That's basically raise a shield for mental effects. Definitely. There you are,
All
PJ.
right. And we're back. Yeah, sorry. Internet sucks.
No
Anyway,
worry, I
moving
was
on.
able to vamp.
Yay. The unleash immediate gratification.
No. I just basically, we went in the chat. So you
Oh,
take on unleash immediate gratification.
sure. Oh, look at that wonderful freeze frame of my stupid face. Okay, let's move right along, shall we? So, unleash.
Oh, once again. Oh. Whew. Oh, PJ. Mm. Ooh. You know what? I think I know why. It's because we're on page 13. Oh, there you are.
Oh,
There you are.
that's why I'm back. Yeah, no, for some reason, there's multiple internets that don't
Hurry,
work.
hurry and do this.
Okay. This is before I lose it again.
Yeah.
Benefit. You gain the basic benefits of having your psyche unleashed and allow you to amped focus spells without paying the cost, but you gain no specific benefits beyond that. Drawback. Prematurely pushing yourself into an overload state leaves your mind struggling to catch up. You're stupefied one for the duration of your unleashed psyche, and you can't remove or mitigate this condition in any way. So it's a one action to activate your psyche ability, your big psyche buff. And I'm trying to see. Yeah, basically gives you free amps without paying the cost, and no specifics beyond that. So it's like a dirty like a dirty expand psyche, unleash psyche.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Unleash Reflective Sustainment. Level 12 feet. You cast a spell with a sustained duration during this encounter, and then sustain it on your next turn to extend its duration. Your mind partitions itself to automatically handle some of your ongoing spells. So that's basically a nice way to say you're compartmentalizing your issues. Yeah. Anyway, benefit. You become quickened and you can use the additional action only to sustain a spell. Ooh, that's nice. Drawback, partitioning your mind into a second consciousness makes it more difficult to maintain spells. You can't use reactions or free actions on other creatures' turns, nor can you sustain a spell as a free action, such as with the effortless concentration.
So, I mean, in a way, it kind of already does that. You're getting a quickened action to sustain the spell, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of already does what effortless concentration does, unless I'm forgetting a key.
I think it's
wording
just,
there.
you don't stack it.
That's also a good clarification, because I don't even know how the hell that would work to stack it. But all right, 14th level, making our way downtown. Conscious spell specialization. Your practice with the spells of your conscious mind allows you to cast them even more than normal. You gain an additional spell slot for first, second, third, and fourth levels. Hell yeah. You can use these spell slots to only cast spells granted by your conscious mind. Doesn't matter, those spells are dope. At 18th level, you get an additional 5th spell slots with the same restrictions. Because here's the thing, if you weren't here at the beginning of this playtest read, the Psychic only gets 2 spell slots per level. So, like, let me phrase this. Each spell level only gets 2 spell slots.
Yeah.
So this allows you to get, at least for like the first half of your spell list, more spell slots a day, which playing a Magus, let me tell you, you really realize how much you miss spell slots when you only get 2.
More bullets in the chamber.
Absolutely. More bullets in the gun.
All right, next up is Deep Roots, level 14 feats. Your insidious mind control spells send burrowing mental roots so deep that they tear at your target's mind even after they are removed or have run their course. Ooh, very Lovecraftian. When you cast a spell that imposes the control condition or otherwise forces the target to take certain actions, such as command, you could choose one target who quickly failed its save. Then, when that target finishes fulfilling any commands issued by your spell, or when the spell is dispelled or counteracted, it takes 1d4 mental damage per level of the spell.
Oh
Ooh.
no.
Ooh. I like it's like a mental landmine, or no, mental time bomb. A mental
It
time
really
bomb.
is. Because I mean, that's up to a seventh level spell. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing just for shits and giggles, if you're doing a seventh level command spell and they go through whatever rounds that is, that's 7d4 for
Yeah.
free after it's over, not
Oh,
including whatever else is happening to the guy.
imagine the command is run away. They're running away, running away, and then oh my god, it's like what is that? Battle Royale. Battle Royale. Boom.
Oh my god! Now, granted, 7d4 may or may not kill the target, but it's free. It's free damage on
They're
top
gonna
of
have a bad
the
day
mind
at the very
control.
least.
Oh, absolutely. Ooh, I like this new one, Shatter Space. Ooh, this is an amp. Okay, you get to add this amp to your cantrips. You or one target of the spell are surrounded in a spiral of torn space. This is an aura and a 5-foot emanation. A creature that starts its turn in the aura takes 1d6 slashing damage for every 2 levels of the amped
Ooh.
cantrip with a basic reflex save against your spell DC. The aura lasts until the beginning of your next turn. You can choose whether the aura affects the creature emitting it. You can choose whether the aura affects the creature emitting it. So you are one target of the spell. Oh, damn. Okay, so remember way early in the episode when we talked about that telekinetic cantrip that could do 2 burst 5s?
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine those people you've targeted for the 2 burst 5s, at least one of those people is creating this aura that just does 7d6 slashing damage to everyone, all of the enemies, all of its allies, your enemies around the initial enemy.
Yeah.
This is such a good one.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh. I like it. I like it. I really do. But anyway, we are now moving to the 16th level and feats. So let's get on with it. First up is constant levitation. Your power has unbound you from the earth below, letting you float harmlessly over traps and unstable terrain. You're affected by a constant airwalk, except the highest you could walk is 5 feet above the ground. While your psyche is unleashed, you are also affected by a fly spell.
I
I'm
love
envisioning
that.
Chaozu from Dragon Ball.
100%. And that he is a psychic too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so dope.
Mm-hmm.
The last level 16 feat is Unleash Poltergeist
Cool.
Phenomena. One action. Prerex, you have cast 2 evocation spells that affect an area since rolling initiative, each on a different round. Once again, Adam, yeah, the more you play a sec, the more powerful it becomes.
Mm-hmm.
When your mind is unleashed, so is your sense of control, spilling psychic energies forth in an indiscriminate maelstrom. Benefit: while the psyche is unleashed, you gain an aura of telekinetically whirling debris in a 15-foot emanation. Any creature that starts its turn in the aura takes 1d4 for every 2 levels you have, which at level 16 means 8. That's 8d4 damage with a basic reflex save, meaning that can double on a critical fail. The damage is generally bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing based on the environment, GM discretion. Drawback: you aren't immune to the chaos of your power. Oh no.
Oh.
You must be included in the aura of the psyche and must save against it as normal. That, when I say that sucks, I don't mean it's a bad ability. I mean, that sucks for you, my dude, because that
Yeah.
means
It's
that,
a very risk-verse award.
yeah, especially considering that, like, I think the highest reflex save psychics get is expert, and this is a level 16 feat,
Yeah.
so
I would argue that I believe there are general feats that could bump it up. But anyway,
maybe.
I want to also say, imagine having both Shatter Space and Unleash Poltergeist Phenomenon. Just saying.
Oh,
Just
I
saying.
love that. Now, Adam Generator put something in the chat, and I think we just found it. The real
Yep.
Battle Royale neck bomb is right here.
All right. It's called Cranial Detonation, and it's the first level 18 feat we have here on the list. As your magic fells a creature, you take advantage of their flickering consciousness to release a detonation of psychic energy from the creature's head. Use this amp in place of the side cantrip's normal amp entry. unlike with many amps, you choose to add this amp to a spell after you successfully reduce a non-mindless enemy to 0 hit points with the spell, rather than as part of casting the spell. You can't use this amp on a non-lethal spell. Let's see, amp. The enemy you reduce to 0 HP dies, a death effect, and its head explodes. If the cantrip is reduced more than one foe to 0 hit points, choose one head to detonate. The detonation generates a shockwave of a 15-foot emulation around the enemy. Each creature in the emanation takes 1d4 damage per level of the amp spell with a basic save against your spell DC. You choose a physical or mental shockwave, and the explosion deals force damage with a basic fortitude save for a physical shockwave, or mental damage with a basic will save for a mental shockwave.
What I love is, and please, if you're in the chat, get in the comments and please correct me on this. It sounds like it says, unlike with many amps, you choose to add this amp to a spell after you, okay, so it's still a cantrip spell. It's not an actual like first, second, third level spell. Okay, but still, the fact that you can add this after it's done the damage.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh wait, Jim, I killed it. Pop goes the noggin. What?
Pop goes the weasel.
That is such a good amp.
Oh yeah.
All right, this next one is Womp Womp. I mean, it's good, but comparatively, it's kind of anticlimactic. Deepest Wellspring, you get 3 focus points. And the good thing is that when you recover or when you're refocused, you get 3 focus points back instead of 1. So what's interesting to compare here, let's think about this, let's talk about this. At level 1, you get 2 focus points out the gate and the ability to refocus, getting 2 focus points back every time you do that if you've only spent your focus points on focus cantrips, which I don't even see a focus spell, so it might as well be the case. Which means at level 18, you can now get your maximum of 3. Yeah. But since every 10 minutes you take to refocus, I think it's like once a day or once or whatever, you're getting all of them back. You know, the economy is so good for this. I don't know if you really read this comparatively.
I kind of want to argue that you might as well just pick up an archetype that gives you another focus point and just take the extra time to refocus to get all the points back.
Yeah, I see. The thing is, like, I'm kind of on the fence here because, because this class is so heavily focused on focus points, and to great effect. My God, this is amazing. But because they've already built it into the system that you basically get all your 2 points back every time you refocus, I don't know if 3 is as you get more bullets in combat, and that's good. You get them back just as dummy thick fast. But comparatively to the neck bomb, I don't know.
I want to argue Deepest Wellspring would be actually a better feat to get around level, I want to say 8?
I don't know. I think
6 or 8?
I think because it's such a huge thing to get 3 focus points, I think it would be a good post 10, a post level 10 feat. Like, I would say...
Level 10 feat then?
Yeah, like level 10, level 12.
Okay.
You know, that kind of option.
Anyway. We are
so
now... Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, please.
I was going to say, now we have hit our milestone of level 20 feats. And, I guess I'll take the first one, right, PJ?
Yes, please do.
It's called Become Thought. Not thought, it's thought. Just saying, just want to clarify that. You shed some of your material form, becoming a being of pure thought. Once again, thought, not thought. You gain resistance 10 to physical damage, but weakness 5 to mental damage, and weakness 10 to any effect that deals direct damage, specifically by targeting the spirit, such as Spirit Blast. Once per century, when you die, you automatically return to life as long as one living sentient creature on your plane remembers you. The memories allow you to reconstruct yourself from their thoughts.
This is one of the reasons why people hated the Mystic so damn much. Except the Mystic could just do this every time they died, but at least once a day, they could just pop back to life without any problem.
I will say once per century, that is a really really long, what is it, recharge.
This is also a really good like villain thing. Could you imagine this really powerful psychic like having children all over the
Ooh,
world
yeah.
and instilling in it like, oh, I am your father. Like, now every time you die, you have at least once a
Yeah.
century or a generation, your kid has to know who you are, right? You
Yeah.
force them to because they're evil. So now it's
PJ.
like, my son remembers me, I'm back. Damn it.
PJ. It's essentially Zachariah Kilgrave, the Purple Man from Marvel Comics, the comic book version.
I don't know about that, but it is definitely a crazy power.
I'm
No,
saying basically it's, the fact that, you have progenitor, you have children.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm just saying that as an example. But yeah, so long as anyone remembers you, you're coming back from the dead for free.
Yeah.
Once a century?
You know what? Just spend a lot of money at a city and have them construct a statue of you on a fountain. Okay. Oh, who's that? Oh, okay. Boom.
Adam Jenner is saying, but what if you force everyone to remember that person as a sentient dog who will then reincarnate as a dog? That's a really fun shade of gray.
Or actually become a thought.
Actually, yeah. Come back, like and subscribe. Anyway, so the other level 20 feat, dual amplification. You can modify and amplify your spells as much as you like. You can apply 2 amps to a focus cantrip instead of 1, provided those amps can both be applied to the spell, and this only costs 1 focus point to add both amps.
Ooh.
Dear God.
And some of these feat amps are super powerful.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie with you all. This class is amazing, and the feat amps really make or break your entire build and this class. Holy balls.
Oh, man. Honestly, if this class was available when we were making our Edge of Legend characters, I kind of want to say I might have gone Psychic. Yeah. But anyway, next level 20 feat is called Mind Over Matter. Really quick, really simple. Your mind's limits are only what you imagine them to be. You gain an additional 10th level spell slot. So,
very
yay,
straightforward.
10th level.
Yeah, I think every caster, generally speaking, has the equivalent of a second spell slot for their level 10 spells around level 20, which kind of makes sense. It's a very powerful, worthwhile spell slot to have.
Oh, PJ, I think the next feat that we're going to read is actually a typo. It should have been on the previous feat.
Well, you know what? Let's read it and see if it's meant to be level 18 feet like it says in the playtest, or level 20 feet.
Maybe.
So, requirements. You have at least 2 psyche abilities. You uncovered so many facets of your psyche that you can bring 2 to the front of your mind, to the front when your mind is unleashed. If you've met the requirements for 2 psyche abilities, when you unleash your psyche, you can enter both simultaneously, getting both benefits and both drawbacks.
I want to say this is a typo, but the 18 should have been a 20.
Yeah. You know what's interesting to me, talking about the capstone stuff, is like the level 20 capstones usually get to a point where something, you get a second level 10 slot, or something godly happens. Now, granted, I am not crapping on any of these. They are amazingly powerful. But I don't know what I feel like I'm missing here. The godliness.
I think the godliness is become thought. The other one just really kind of helps modify your character's psychic abilities. But if you're looking for your quote-unquote godly ability, basically reincarnating with all your abilities is, that is pretty godly.
True, and a straight up 10 resistance to all physical damage, that's also pretty good, especially for something so squishy.
Yeah.
I will say dual amplification is godly as far as mechanics go, because combining some of those amps to just pour on the damage back to back is very solid. Off the top of my head, I cannot remember the psyche abilities, so I'm sure that unleashing 2 at once is dope. But I can't math it in my head right now without looking at the list to see what those would be.
Well, since we're pretty much done reading through the feat list here, and we're already actually over on time. Really quick. So, what are your pros and cons of the psychic class, PJ?
Oh man, pros. This thing is so much fun. There is, at least right now as it exists, there's not a single weak or uninteresting or poorly balanced variation of this class that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about it that is unique is refreshing. Everything about it that is powerful is very powerful. And I don't know. I honestly don't know how they can even improve this thing except to nerf it, which would suck.
And also remember the fact that what is it? The three The three conscious minds in this playtest. There's gonna be more. They literally just said there's only 3 conscious minds in this playtest, which signifies that there are going to be more. And yeah, PJ, totally agree with you. I think this thus far is the most well-made advanced extra out of the core classes, most well-made playtests thus far.
100%. I think at this point it makes sense. They've already had 2, technically 3 if you count the advanced playtest, advanced core rulebook playtests. They've had 3 opportunities to kind of figure out what the fans want. Yeah. And they've done it here in a way that is so much fun and streamlined and so powerful and so versatile, and so many builds that you can do just with the psychic alone. We haven't hit Thaumaturgist. I'm hoping next time when we talk about Thaumaturgist, we have just as much of an exciting time with it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I will say one of the weaknesses I do feel about the psychic class is something that you said already. The capstone abilities, somewhat lackluster, but considering everything else, how great it is, I'm not that disappointed.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the weird bottom line is like, are the level 20s powerful? Of course. Getting a second 10th level spell a day is clutch. Getting the ability to like combine 2 amps for the price of 1, that's extremely powerful, and that makes sense at level 20. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like, sometimes you're hungry for food, you don't even know what you want to eat. Like, that's where I'm at right now. I don't even know what I'm missing. PJ, it's so good.
I think the best way to describe the psychic class right now is it's the best consistent borderline class. Because usually other playtests usually has the up, down, up, down, up, down. This is just borderline good.
Yes, and that's something else to keep in mind too, because like there's sometimes where a class gets so loaded on first level with all the cool stuff they can do that it definitely roller coasters down the way, or that there are some builds that they release that aren't as juicy. Yeah. It's like, oh, cool, you can do this way. And it's like, yeah, I guess that's nice, but mechanically it's not as exciting. And this one's like, doesn't matter what you do, it rocks out with its socks out.
Yeah. Adam Generator posted their pros for this class is the flavor. When I totally agree. The flavor, the flavor of the psychic fits, this version of the psychic fits well in a fantasy setting.
100%.
100%, I think. And also their cons is, and I will kind of agree with this, you do have a weakness towards undead and oozes.
That's right.
You can't be good with every single thing.
True. It is one of the problems because you have mind-altering effects. If you are fighting something that is immune to mental effects and conditions, now this does work to a degree. If you are still the distant grasp type, you can still do a bunch of physical damage. Yeah. So you can still at least hurt undead. Oozes, they may be difficult because I think they resist physical and they have no mental conditions. So you're just screwed there, my dude.
I kind of want to say with that, there's plenty of archetypes for you to choose from. So there are ways to have a backup plan, and also you're in a fantasy game. You have magical items, so yeah, stock up and plan ahead. Plan ahead. Which is also good for psychics.
100%. And you know what? If you're going to play the eye or the silent thought, use your powers to buff your teammates. You don't have to be the one dealing damage to make the party win. You can be the one helping the party that makes the party win.
Before we close off, of the conscious mind, of 3 conscious minds, which are really quick, they are the Distant Grasp, the Infinite Eye, and the Silent Whisper. Of those 3, which is your favorites? Or no, how would you rank them from 1 to 3?
That is tough, because that's like comparing cats and dogs. Yeah, they both walk on all fours, and I want to give them hugs, but that doesn't mean they're the same. So if you want to do damage, right? Clearly, it's Distant Grasp number 1, and maybe Silent Thought number 2, and Invisible Eye number 3. If you want to do crowd control, right? Then I would say Silent Thought 1, Eye 2, and of course the damage dealing 1, Distant Grasp 3. Like you're kind of doing some crowd control with AoEs, but you're not really like affecting their tactics. Last but not least, if you want to have a buffer, the Silent Thought buff is so good. Such a good buff.
Real quick, Silent Whisper.
Silent Whisper. Did I say Silent Thought?
Yeah.
My bad.
For my list, I'm doing more of a straightforward list. It's Silent Whisper, mainly for the fact that it's situationally, it's the most useful, I feel, because you could pretty much you could plug a Silent Whisper into almost any type of campaign, and I feel it'll do pretty well. Next up is going to be Infinite Eye, meaning for the fact that how good of a team player it could be, because once again, as you said, you don't necessarily have to go up fighting against the BBEG. What you could do is buff your party, and honestly, I think that's a role that in a lot of TTRPGs that I've seen thus far on these live streams, it's something that is not utilized as much. Everybody wants to be that, the big hitter. You usually kind of, tend to not think too much of the team player. And then the Distant Grasp, which once again is still really, really, really good. But I just think the utilization of Silent Whisper and Infinite Eye in generally most campaigns, they fit better and have a better role. They fit in roles better.
Yeah, I definitely see and I agree what they're going with. Like, looking back at the Distant Grasp, the only non-straightforward face bashing attack it has is kind of like the Jedi grab the weapon and throw it back.
Yeah.
And that's useful, absolutely. But it's still not versatile, right? Like, look at how versatile the Infinite Eye is. The fact that it's basically the anti-mage build. If you're going to be against sorcerers and wizards and witches, this is a great way to nerf those guys to the floor.
Yeah.
The Silent Whispers is great for, I guess, more like debuffing and crowd controlling, and a little bit of buffing as well. It's I think Silent Whispers is definitely the most diverse, has the most to offer.
I want to say thank you, PJ, for that's the word I was actually searching for, versatile. The Silent Whisper, both Infinite Eye and Silent Whisper are super versatile, but I feel Silent Whisper is just a little tiny bit more versatile than Infinite Eye, in just my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I think the only downside to any of this is going to be the rate of progression. The rate at which your fullest potential is going to come to you. If you are the Distant Grasp, your ability to deal enhanced damage and do it well is going to happen right away with that and increase the telekinetic projectile. With Silent Whisper, it's definitely going to happen a lot later. Like around level 8 is when you get Shattering Mind. So you're going to be mostly a buffer, maybe debuffer. Around level 8, you now have your bread and butter killer. But what's important is that mostly anyone can take those amp feats, which means mostly anyone can have a very awesome, powerful, diverse effect to these cantrips, which I can see why it's bread and butter. This is such a good implementation.
PJ, I just really want to quickly correct you. Shatter Mind is actually Silent Whisper, not the other one.
Didn't I say Silent Whisper?
You went other way around.
What do you mean?
I think you said Shattered mine was Infinite Eye.
Yeah. Well, in my brain, I tried to say Silent Thought, Silent Whisper. I don't remember saying Infinite Eye, but I believe you. I'm sure it's there in the audio. Either way. So I'm really excited about this. Play this out. Give it a shot. Adam Generator says, I'm a sucker for Magic Missile. Yes, and what these people are doing with Magic Missile is really good. So stack up some decent grasp on your Magic Missile and start knocking people out of the park.
I want to close this out by saying I'm really curious to see how useful the archetype version of this class is going to be. Because honestly, these days I'm more, I've been determining how good these core classes are by their archetype. So I'm just curious. I'm curious to see that.
That's a good point. That's also kind of interesting because sometimes the core class is so good and the archetype is not. Like the Magus archetype, it's rough. Like you don't get the level 1 core ability in the multi-class archetype until level 8 or 6. Until then, you're getting very little benefit from it.
Or the Summoner archetype, which just absolutely F's up your action economy, which Pathfinder 2nd edition is just built around.
Yeah. So I would say my thought is depends on how mean they want to go. Because so much happens at level 1 that you may not get a lot out of the archetype until like halfway to 20. Then you're going to get things like Witch Mind, the conscious or the subconscious, the unleashed psyche. You're probably only going to get like some occult spells and knowledge occult.
Yeah, you're probably just going to get the surface, the surface cantrip, the surface cantrip ability of your conscious mind, if anything.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think, we are definitely super over time. I think it's time to make our farewells.
Absolutely. That being said, thank you so much for the playtest and coming here supporting the show, the playtest materials, Gen Con Online, and we hope to see you next time and talk more about this. And until then, Mr. Michael Powell, please tell them who you are and where they can find you on that sweet, sweet internet.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can find me all over the internet on my social medias, which is called Mr. Kapow, which is MRKAPAO. Or my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Michael Powell Does Stuff, because I do a lot of stuff, like my YouTube channel called Fantastic Tales of Adventure. Or you can see me on Thursdays at Toyzilla Network for Toyzilla Live at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we talk about toy news and a lot of that nostalgia stuff, so it's a lot of fun. Hope to see you there. How about you, PJ?
My name is PJ McGaw. You can find me all over the internet at pj.mcgaw, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Come find me. Come friend me. Let's have fun. When I'm not here with Michael Powell on Tuesdays, you can find me with our friends Tabletop Rolls on Monday, playing Strength of Thousands, where I play a Magus Shuni good boy named Benji. And you can also see us here Wednesdays for the rest of September, doing the Firebrand Pirates, the Fire of Life. And episode 3 is going to be coming this week, actually, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is for the Cosplay IRL Fortnite crossover charity with St. Jude for Children's Cancer Research and Resources. So come in, watch this new fun show with some new fun guests that we have, Makai and Fee, and give whatever you can to the greater charity cause for children's cancer. It means the world. This Saturday, I will be recording a podcast called Lore Finder, where we are discussing some of the deeper stuff about Pathfinder, and I'll be talking about Cheliax because I had to do a crap ton of research to write a game about Hell Knights. So I'm going to be talking about what is absolutely the most evil nation in the entire part of Galarion. So I'll let you know when that comes out. And I guess that's it. More announcements as we get them. And until then... Oh, yes?
I want to say, I'm going to try my best for the month of October when we do our one-shot for that month to try to play the Psychic and the Thaumaturge playtest. I'm already planning on that.
For which one?
For our one-shots in October.
So you all want a little look behind the curtain, a little spoiler, if you will, about the month of Halloween? So we're going to have 3 games that are spoopy and 1 game that I will announce later. But you are all playing as level 0 characters for Halloween. You get your ancestry, you get your background, and that's all you get. And let's see if you can survive the Crimson Carnival. It's gonna be terrible.
Jeepers.
That being said, thank you so much for tuning in. I cannot wait to go to the rest of the playtest material and all of the material. There's so much stuff to talk about.
Anyway, should we say goodbye?
Yes, everyone. Thank you so much. And until next time, we'll see you same Nat time, same Nat channel here at the table.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.